Chapter 465. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. It's the Blood Spirit Turtle King. It has a good temper. If it wants to kill me, then I won't be able to resist at all, and can only activate the Void Dao Stone orb you gave me, Aunt Faye. Night Sorrow explained the situation of meeting the Blood Spirit Turtle King in detail. If it has a horn, then it must be the Blood Spirit Turtle King with the bloodline of the Dragon Turtle. If it can tolerate you, then it must have achieved a lot in terms of mental cultivation, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Faye, it can speak and use spatial imprisonment. It's clearly a venerable realm demonic beast. Why didn't it choose to transform? Sikong Chiyu asked in confusion. Different choices. Some demonic beasts want to enter the world, so they need to transform. Some choose to live in seclusion, so they don't care about these things, Wu Lingfei explained. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios 13. You sure are lucky to have encountered such a terrifying honorable realm demonic beast. Not only was there no danger, it even gave you resources. There's nothing much to say about that, Yang Lei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. I don't know why, but it really scared me. Thinking back to the scene, Night Sorrow still felt a little scared. Heaven is vigorous, and a gentleman will constantly strive to improve himself. This refers to one's own efforts. A gentleman is virtuous. Virtuous is the behavior of the Blood Spirit Turtle King. This is very good. After all, killing for no reason goes against the harmony of heaven. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Faye, did we kill a lot of dark creatures? Night Sorrow asked. That's not the same. We're killing the creatures of darkness for the Eastern Xian region. We'll only receive the blessings of heaven and earth. It has nothing to do with harming Daymeld. Even if we're injured, we'll be harming Daymeld of the space of death. That's not worth our attention. Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. Then let's continue, Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, You killed some. Rest for 2 days, and then we'll head out. Depart? Where are we going? Night Sorrow asked Wu Lingfei. Death space. Let's go to the death space and get rid of the threat completely, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Faye, did you break through? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. No, but my clone has already cultivated to the large success stage. After you rest well, take the Void Dao Stone Orb and enter the spatial tunnel. Then Aunt Faye's clone will go in and start killing. You go in and pack up the resources, Wu Lingfei said. Congratulations, Aunt Faye. Night Sorrow bowed to Wu Lingfei. Hee, but this doppelganger can no longer protect you. After the doppelganger comes out of the Void Dao Stone, the Void Dao Stone will crack. It can probably hide once more, but there is still the Dark Island to deal with, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Faye, I have 2 spirit artifacts on me. It's enough, Night Sorrow said with a smile. We'll talk about it later. You should rest first. Wu Lingfei left the tent. Now that we've got the resources, we've solved a big problem. At the very least, you don't have to worry about resources for your cultivation before you reach rank 6, Sikong Chiyu said. The Mystic Tortoise Crystal is just right for me at the 5th rank. Its effect is very strong and I can absorb it very quickly. As for after the 6th rank, I don't know if the Blood Spirit Tortoise Crystal is suitable for me, but even if there is a mistake, it won't be too far off. Baidu search Love Go Xiaoshua www.aichuxs.com, Night Sorrow said. That's good. You should rest for a bit, then follow Auntie Faye to the death space, Sikong Chiyu said as he brewed tea. Okay, actually I'm not tired, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your body's cultivation has improved again? Yang Lei asked. Yes. Right now my body's strength is around 40,000 jin. It's still a bit away from 50,000 jin. Night Sorrow stretched his waist, then a cracking sound was heard. Your body's strength can directly crush a rank 4 cultivator. You're a human-shaped vicious beast, Yang Lei said. I'm normal, right? I'm a bit weaker than the average person, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his body. But your body contains the energy of a vicious beast, Sikong Chiyu said. Okay. You're right, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Actually, This is a good thing because your descendants' talent will also be very high in the future. Saying this, Sikong Chiyu's face became flushed red. What do you mean? Night Sorrow put down the teacup in his hand. Inheritance. Why are there so many talents in big families? It's because their ancestors were all accomplished cultivators. The higher their achievements, the stronger their inherited genes. It's like dragons giving birth to dragons and phoenixes giving birth to phoenixes. Do you understand this principle? Sikong Chiyu explained to Night Sorrow again. Does that mean that the higher the parent's achievements, the stronger the child's talent? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chiyu and asked. That's for sure. Of course, the final achievement still depends on the individual's efforts, opportunities, and other factors, Sikong Chiyu said. I understand. Then I'll work hard to cultivate and work hard for the future of my children, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Looks like we'll all have to work hard, Yang Lei said. In terms of erudition, Yang Lei wasn't as knowledgeable as Sikong Chiyu. After all, Sikong Chiyu came from a big family and had read a lot of ancient books, so he was more knowledgeable. Night Sorrow then left the tent. Ho Jian, the Bloodstrike guards, and the others had already roasted the game and were waiting for Night Sorrow's group. Night Sorrow took out some wine and distributed it to everyone. Then they drank and chatted. Ho Jian and the others asked Night Sorrow about the journey. When Night Sorrow mentioned the Blood Spirit Turtle Monarch, everyone was shocked and worried for Night Sorrow. After drinking a jar of wine, Sikong Chiyu didn't let Night Sorrow drink anymore. Ho Jian and the others didn't force him either. After drinking to their heart's content, Night Sorrow returned to the tent to rest. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu didn't let Night Sorrow cultivate. Instead, they made a bed for Night Sorrow and let Night Sorrow rest. Night Sorrow enjoyed this feeling very much. He slept very soundly that night. When he slept well, he woke up early. Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear arts. Not to mention how much Night Sorrow's cultivation of the myriad Dao treasured cannon had increased, but the increase in his physical strength had also increased the power of his spear arts by a lot. Night Sorrow cultivated while Wu Lingfei watched from the side. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow put away his spear and asked Wu Lingfei, Auntie Fei, take a look at my spear arts. Is there anything I need to improve? Very good, very perfect. With your current cultivation, being able to perform the spear arts to this level is already impeccable, Wu Lingfei said with a nod. Because my explosive power isn't enough, the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear Art can only combine 7 spears into one after my cultivation increases, Night Sorrow said. How is your bloodline talent now? Wu Lingfei asked. I've already activated 4 bloodline talents. I'm now activating the 5th, Night Sorrow said after sensing his body. Chapter 466. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I haven't been using space crystals recently. I've been cultivating on my own. The main reason is that I don't want to absorb too much external energy and reduce the controllability of my bloodline talent, Night Sorrow said. You're right to think that way. You don't have to worry about that. The space crack of the Night Moon Dynasty can only be used by venerables. It requires the energy to cut open space, and it also requires venerables to comprehend the oneness of man and nature. Just treat it as an attack, said Wu Lingfei. I understand, Night Sorrow said. Following this, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei went to Wu Lingfei's tent to drink tea. You've improved well in all aspects, especially your soul power. What kind of treasure do you have in your spirit sea that could injure the lightning fire? What can you tell me about it? Wu Lingfei asked after thinking for a moment. There's nothing I can't tell Auntie Fei. The origin of the Void Fiendish Space, which is the Void Fate Pearl, was originally in my Dantian. The last time I went to the Realm Sea and was attacked by the laws, the Void Fate Pearl entered my Divine Sea, said Night Sorrow. The Nihility Source energy has entered your body, which means that it doesn't reject you and can protect your Divine Sense Sea. This means that it has already acknowledged you. As long as you can refine it, that Nihility space will become your territory. Love go little say, Wu Lingfei said excitedly. I can't control it yet, and I don't know when I'll be able to refine it, Night Sorrow said. What's there to be anxious about? With a treasure on hand, it's never too late to refine it. This is a great opportunity. When you completely refine it, you'll have a world as your foundation. What kind of concept is that? It's really indescribable. Wu Lingfei was very excited. I understand. I'll cherish it. Night Sorrow nodded. You can continue to relax. After that, we will set off. First, we will go to the spatial tunnel of Waterfront City. After we are done here, Auntie Fei will go to the Black Island. You don't need to go there. The main thing is that you can't enter. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and left Wu Lingfei's tent. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei set off. Before they left, they greeted Yang Lei, Xikong Qiyu, and Lei Hua. Without letting anyone else follow, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow directly to the spatial tunnel entrance. Aunt Fei can't go in. After you activate the Golden Phoenix soft armor, use the Void True Qi to create a protective barrier. After you enter, directly activate the Void Dao Stone. Wu Lingfei instructed Night Sorrow. I understand, Night Sorrow said. From the moment you go in until Auntie Fei's clone appears, you will be in the most danger. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, I'll do my best to defend myself, Night Sorrow said. Good. Take the Void Dao Stone in your hand and go in. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. The Myriad Dao Treasured Tome's energy activated the Golden Phoenix soft armor. Then he activated the True Qi in his Dantian, creating a Void Attribute protective barrier, and rushing towards the spatial tunnel. Pressure. A huge pressure rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow exerted strength in his feet, and rushed into the depths of the spatial tunnel. The protective barrier was deformed from the pressure. Night Sorrow quickly circulated his True Qi, forcefully preventing the protective barrier from being broken. He walked step by step into the spatial tunnel. This was similar to a battle. It wasn't much lighter than a venerable's bind. The energy waves constantly roared towards Night Sorrow, but they were all blocked by the Void Attribute protective barrier. Love Gob Little Say W. Chu. After rushing for a while, the space in front of Night Sorrow suddenly opened up. However, Night Sorrow's scalp went numb. Not far in front of him, there were a few dark spirit corpses sitting cross-legged. Behind them, there was a dense group of dark creatures. The moment the dark spirit corpses stood up to attack, Night Sorrow activated the Void Dao Stone Pearl. Following Night Sorrow's activation, the Void Dao Stone shook and cracks appeared. The energy gathered and Wu Lingfei appeared. It should be said that Wu Lingfei's clone had appeared. After appearing, Wu Lingfei waved her left hand, and a protective barrier appeared, covering herself and Night Sorrow. Then, she flew towards the dark spirit corpses to attack. This time, Wu Lingfei was even more ferocious than before. An energy sword appeared in her right hand. Her left hand was frozen while her right hand attacked with the sword. The 2 dark spirit corpses were killed by Wu Lingfei before they could display any strength. Wu Lingfei wrapped Night Sorrow in her energy. She used her left hand to freeze the 2 escaping dark spirit corpses, and then chased after the other one. After catching up, Wu Lingfei used Ice Seal and Sword Chi Slash to kill them. At this time, the other 2 dark spirit corpses had already run away. Wu Lingfei did not continue to chase after the venerable dark spirit corpses. Instead, she began to crush the dark creatures. Wu Lingfei killed the dark creatures like harvesting wheat. After using Ice Seal on her left hand, she used her palm to shatter it. Her right hand continuously slashed with Sword Chi Slash. Aunt Fei, let's go deal with the venerables first. Night Sorrow had been wrapped in Wu Lingfei's energy. Seeing the 2 dark spirit corpses run away, he was a bit anxious, because killing the dark spirit corpses was the key to solving the problem. When the 2 dark spirit corpses were frozen, Aunt Fei injected profound jade spirit chi into their bodies. It's not difficult to find them. But these peak rank 5 dark creatures can easily enter the venerable realm. So we have to kill them first. If they run away, it'll be troublesome to chase after them. Wu Lingfei said as she slaughtered the dark creatures. I understand. My knowledge is low. Night Sorrow said. It's not that your knowledge is low. In a situation where you can't find the dark spirit corpses, killing them first is not wrong. It's just that Aunt Fei has a backup plan. You go kill them too. Let's kill to our heart's content. Wu Lingfei threw Night Sorrow beside her. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and joined the ranks of the battle. He didn't feel any pressure because the late rank 5 dark creatures were all under Wu Lingfei's attack. One person in the sky, one on the ground. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei crushed forward. After an hour, the battle ended. This area was filled with corpses. To the dark creatures, this was equivalent to a battle of destruction. Night Sorrow didn't need to say anything. Wu Lingfei's attack was too strong and too fast. She chose to kill the dark creatures with high cultivation. As long as the dark creatures tried to escape her attack range, she would take care of them first. Some of the dark creatures that ran away were the ones with low cultivation. Wu Lingfei said to Yishan, "Since we've killed all of them at the 5th step, it'll be impossible for the dark creatures here to reach the Exalt realm in a short period of time. Let's go find the 2 dark spirit corpses that ran away first, then slowly investigate." Number 7 start. Okay. I only came in to cheer for Aunt Fei. I can't do anything else. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 467. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by small? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Aunt Fei, is there any difference between your avatar and your original body? Is it the same as your thoughts? Night Sorrow asked as he looked at Wu Lingfei's avatar. Yes, this is an avatar nurtured by the power of the soul. Although the flesh and blood on its body is condensed from the energy of the Void Dao Stone, and is slightly different from the original body, its thoughts are the same. I am your Aunt Fei. Wu Lingfei's avatar said. Then I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always been a little worried that this Wu Lingfei's avatar would be emotionless. Let's go chase after those 2 dark spirit corpses. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, you rest for a while. I'll use my mount. Night Sorrow released Tianyu. That's fine too. After Aunt Fei becomes a venerable, her mount will be released. Wu Lingfei also came to Tianyu's back. Then, under Wu Lingfei's command, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and chased after one of the dark spirit corpses. Night Sorrow took out the Void Dao Stone that contained Wu Lingfei's avatar and looked at it. Aunt Fei, this Void Dao Stone is broken. This is indeed an unexpected situation and a miscalculation. If this space is not the same as the Dark Island, then it will be more troublesome. Love Gobe Small say W Chu. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, I still have a Void Dao Stone here. Take it and use it. Night Sorrow said. You can't use it. Even if it's not the same space, you can wait until Aunt Fei breaks through. You have to keep the Void Dao Stone. It's the best medium to condense avatars. It's very important to you. You can't use it to mess around. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. But the situation over there is very serious. Night Sorrow was a little worried. He was worried that if that guy grew up, he would not be able to control it in the end. Don't worry, it will definitely enter the Sage Realm later than Aunt Fei. At that time, we will be able to take care of it. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. Keep the Void Daoist Stone. Once you enter the Sovereign Realm, Aunt Fei will teach you how to cultivate a clone. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Thank you, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow said. Then let's continue forward. That dark spiritual corpse is about 500 kilometers ahead. After killing it, we'll go deal with the other one. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had pointed out. After advancing for an hour, they weren't far from where Wu Lingfei was. Wu Lingfei stood up and said, You still want to run? Night Sorrow, follow me. After saying that, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and disappeared from Night Sorrow's sight. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had disappeared. After half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei. Not far from her was the corpse of the dark spiritual corpse. This guy still wants to run? Can he run? Wu Lingfei snorted. Her body flashed and landed on Tianyu's back. Over there. Let's chase in that direction. The guy running there doesn't have a high cultivation, but he should be the strongest. We didn't kill him at first because we didn't want to waste time. Okay, let's chase in that direction. Night Sorrow nodded. After killing it, Aunt Fei will go with you to find resources. We can't come here for nothing, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Don't worry about that, Auntie Fei. To tell you the truth, I don't lack cultivation resources right now. The Xian Turtle Crystal and Blood Spirit Turtle Crystal I obtained from this trip to the Sea of Ice Plains are enough for me to reach the 7th Order, let alone the 6th Order. Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. His body has reached the 7th Order? You can? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I can do it. I've obtained a body tempering technique before. It's recorded in it, Night Sorrow said. That's not bad. The soul and the body are the two most important things for a cultivator. It's good that you have such an opportunity. Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Aunt Fei, do you want to take a look? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. He didn't want to cause any misunderstandings between him and Wu Lingfei. He also sincerely hoped that Wu Lingfei could become stronger, because if she was strong, the Eastern Xian region would be strong. Plus update SOJ_previous no need. Auntie Fei cultivates her body, but we walk on a completely different path. Auntie Fei's profound ice body is strengthened by Zhen Qi, but you walk the path of Qi and blood. It's completely different, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. Being kind and benevolent is a virtue, but it is also a weakness for cultivators. Now Auntie Fei will force you once. Swear an oath that you will not casually tell others about the Heavenly Fate Pearl and the body tempering technique. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Aunt Fei is not an outsider. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Hurry up and swear. These two things will cause a lot of trouble. Revealing them won't do you any good. In the future, other people will appear by your side. You may know a person for a long time, but you don't know their true nature. That's why Auntie Fei has to swear an oath to you. Wu Lingfei told him the reason she wanted Night Sorrow to swear an oath. Looking at Wu Lingfei's serious face, Night Sorrow raised his hand and swore an oath. And Auntie Fei is relieved now. You are too naive, and this is a dog-eat-dog world. With an oath, you won't feel guilty if you don't tell anyone next to you, Wu Lingfei said. Thank you, Auntie Fei, for thinking about me. Night Sorrow was very grateful to Wu Lingfei for thinking about him. There are some things that you can't take for granted. Brothers turn against each other, and beauties become enemies. That's why Auntie Fei put a shackle on you, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and handed it to Wu Lingfei. He took out a jug of wine for himself. Relax. Since we are here, the problem can be solved. This small space's laws are not complete. It only contains a strong death qi. The possibility of producing a saint is too low, Wu Lingfei said. With such a strong death qi, wouldn't it be easier to produce a saint with the death attribute? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. There aren't many ways to become a saint. One is to obtain source stones, and the other is to obtain saint crystals. Since the laws here are not complete, it is very difficult to obtain source stones, let alone saint crystals. The possibility is even lower, so saints are not so easy to produce, Wu Lingfei said. Saint crystals. Saint crystals are one of the ways to become a saint. Isn't the battle between saints very cruel? Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was shocked. That's right. That's why cultivators or monster beasts who become saints generally choose to live in seclusion for fear of being killed, Wu Lingfei said. In other words, cultivators who have just entered the saint realm are just materials in the eyes of powerful saints. Night Sorrow was a little flustered. Chapter 468. Genius remembers love in 1 second /small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then Auntie Fei must hide after entering the saint realm, Night Sorrow said worriedly. Auntie Fei is very happy that you are worried about me, but Auntie Fei has already considered this point. This is also something all cultivators who enter the saint realm need to consider. Auntie Fei does not intend to break through with the water attribute. Instead, I have been studying how to break through with the life attribute. Once I break through with the high attribute, my combat strength will be much stronger. At that time, it will be hard to say who will kill who, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew the cruelty of the world. Saints no longer needed saint crystals, but the people around them and their descendants may need them. Therefore, killing people for saint crystals was very likely to happen. Don't worry about this. It's hard to say if there are any saints, but if there are, they won't come out. There's no need to worry. Wu Lingfei said. It seems I was thinking too much. Knight Sorrow nodded. Yes, how many years has it been? I haven't heard of any saints. There are frequent realm wars, but no saints have been seen. Wu Lingfei said. The two sat on the Tianyu and followed Wu Lingfei's guidance to chase the escaping dark spirit corpse. At this time, in the human cultivator camp of Broken Cloud Mountain, in Night Sorrow's tent, Wu Lingfei's main body, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu were drinking tea and chatting. Don't worry, most of the dark spirit corpses have been killed. We are now chasing the last one. After killing it, we will explore this space. Wu Lingfei said after taking a sip of tea. I hope it is the same space as the Dark Island Space Channel. That way, Auntie Fei can solve it in one go. Yang Lei said. We need to investigate before we can make a conclusion. Yi Shang has been to the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, Yi Shang will recognize it. If there isn't, then it's not a space. But it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's doppelganger chased after the escaping dark spirit corpses. Along the way, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger would kill any higher-level demonic beasts that showed signs of rising up, not giving them a chance to grow. That escaping dark spirit corpse has been moving all this time. It has never stopped. Not only is this guy strong, but he's also very cunning. He knows that we'll definitely chase after him, so he didn't stop. He's probably looking for a safe place to stay, Wu Lingfei said. As long as Aunt Fei's profound jade spiritual qi is in its body, it will not be able to escape. Night Sorrow said. You can't say that. After all, the death attribute is a high-level attribute. If it is given enough time, it might be able to refine it. But if it keeps running like this, it won't have the chance to refine it. I think it already knows that something is wrong with its body. Auntie Fei's profound jade spirit qi is still shaking. This is a sign that it is resisting and trying to force it out, Wu Lingfei said. Then we have to hurry. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu to fly faster. Don't worry. If we were in a hurry, Auntie Fei would have already flown over. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't say anything. He controlled Tianyu to chase in the direction Wu Lingfei had given him. In the evening, the two approached the dark spirit corpse's current location. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Auntie Fei will take care of it. Wu Lingfei's body flashed and left Tianyu's back, flying towards the area where the dark spirit corpse was hiding. Then the battle began. This dark spirit corpse was quite cunning and strong, but in front of Wu Lingfei's absolute strength, it could only be killed. After killing the dark spirit corpse, Wu Lingfei returned to Tianyu's back. Let's find a place to set up camp. Auntie Fei needs to recover first. The doppelganger consumes a lot of energy, so it can't recover as fast as the main body. This is a flaw. Also, I've been cultivating in the Phantom Dao Stone, and didn't bring any resources in. This is a mistake. Then what does Auntie Fei need? Origin Spirit Liquid? Or Life Spirit Liquid? Night Sorrow asked. Then give me 2 drops of Origin Spirit Liquid, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow took out a small bottle of Origin Spirit Liquid, and gave it to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei doesn't have a storage ring. 2 drops will do. After taking the 2 drops, Wu Lingfei returned the bottle to Night Sorrow, and sat on Tianyu's back to recover. Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and found a relatively good place. He made a tent out of beast skin, and let Wu Lingfei recover. Then he arranged for Tianyu to hunt. After arranging Tianyu's matters, Night Sorrow entered the tent and meditated in a corner. After a night, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger recovered to its peak state. Following which, the two of them continued their search. This time, they did not ride Heavenly Feather. Instead, they walked on the ground. Only by doing so could they find the materials. As they searched, Wu Lingfei killed a lot of dark creatures. Night Sorrow also collected a lot of alchemy materials, and even obtained a piece of extreme origin stone. Wu Lingfei told Night Sorrow that it was a good material for refining spirit tools. This made Night Sorrow quite happy. He was worried that his reincarnation spear would have to be reforged in the future. There was no harm in preparing some materials. You have entered the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, you can tell Auntie Faye. This way, we can be sure if the two are in the same space. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Auntie Faye, it's not the same space. Night Sorrow sighed and said. Look at the original and chapter V2? Are you sure? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, the energy is death energy, but the aura is different. The death energy here gives me the feeling that it's drifting and makes me uncomfortable. The death energy in that space is very oppressive, and the energy is somewhat violent. Night Sorrow explained his feeling, which was also the reason why he determined that there were two different spaces. Then it's not the same space. But it's a bit strange. The two places are not far from each other, and both have death energy, but they are not in the same space. What's going on? Wu Lingfei couldn't understand. Could it be that they are in the same space but separated? Or is there some other reason that caused this situation? Night Sorrow asked. It's possible, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue searching. But don't hold too much hope for good resources. There are dark spirit corpses full of intelligence here. They will also collect and use natural treasures. Wu Lingfei said. And it's about time. Let's go. Night Sorrow said. There's no hurry. Although there are fewer resources because of the dark spirit corpses, it doesn't mean that there won't be any. Some things rely on luck and opportunity. The dark spirit corpses can't get it, but it doesn't mean that we can't. Wu Lingfei said. Then let's continue and try our luck. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 469. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? I'll provide you with some interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei advanced in the dark space for more than 10 days, but the results were mediocre. They collected some alchemy materials and blacksmithing materials. They even reached the edge of the death space, but they didn't find much. The edge of the death space was filled with mist. Wu Lingfei's avatar looked at the spatial turbulence and said, This is the most terrifying spatial turbulence. It contains powerful law attacks. Let alone sovereigns, even saints would be unlucky if they were caught in it. Unless they have a special protective technique, your Night Moon Dynasty's spatial fissure has this ability. Night Sorrow said. This is the spatial barrier. Let's look in another direction. Wu Lingfei's avatar nodded. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's avatar began to explore the space. They had to collect any resources they found. The two searched the death space for nearly a month. They killed any dark creatures they encountered and collected any resources they found. Although they didn't find any heaven-defying treasures, they collected some alchemy materials and ores. Their biggest gain was a small ore vein. They dug out 100 top-grade spirit stones, 300 to 400 high-grade spirit stones, and some mid-grade spirit stones. Top J. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. This space is just like this. There's no point in continuing to search. We can go out and seal the spatial passage. Then this disaster will be solved. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that there weren't many resources in this space. It was almost impossible for the dark creatures to rise again. After a few days, the two returned to the spatial passage. At the spatial passage, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow for some spirit stones, and set up a large formation to hide the spatial passage. Night Sorrow asked, Auntie Faye is also a formation master? I've dabbled a bit. When you cultivate your spiritual strength, you choose sculpting and alchemy. As for Aunt Faye, I've taken the path of studying array formations. I can be considered to have some small accomplishments. As she spoke, Wu Lingfei continued to lay down the array formation. Night Sorrow didn't understand, and could only watch from the side. There's a killing formation in the illusion formation. As long as it's not a venerable accidentally bumping into it, any dark creature below the venerable level won't be able to break it. They'll be killed as soon as they enter the formation. We can go back now. Wu Lingfei clapped her hands and said after she finished setting up the formation. Baidu search, AI go female sign shall say www.aichuxs. Calm with the phantom Dao stone shattered, Wu Lingfei's energy clone couldn't return. Night Sorrow activated a void-type protective barrier, wrapped Wu Lingfei's energy clone, and rushed towards the spatial tunnel. With Wu Lingfei in tow, Night Sorrow's protective barrier was a bit weaker. Fortunately, he was still able to hold on. After a moment, he rushed into the spatial channel. After exiting the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei's true body standing not far away. At this moment, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, flashed towards Wu Lingfei's main body and merged into one. Then Wu Lingfei took out spirit stones to set up another formation. Setting up formations on both sides was relatively safer. I go shall say W2 not bad. Let's go back. After setting up the formation, Wu Lingfei waved her arm and wrapped Night Sorrow around her, and they began to fly. It's a bit different. Facing Auntie Fei now, it seems more real, Night Sorrow said. That doppelganger's body was nourished by the Phantom Dao Stone. There are still some differences, Wu Lingfei said. Soon, the two returned to the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu were very happy. Auntie Fei, these are the top-grade crystals we dug up this time. Night Sorrow took out all the top-grade crystals and gave them to Wu Lingfei. Alright. Then Auntie Fei won't be polite with you. Get ready and leave. You've been exhausted during this period of time. Go back to Dongxian City and have a good rest, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow and the two girls. We don't need to go to the Dark Island? Night Sorrow asked. No need. The Bloodstrike guards are guarding the entrance and killing the small fries. My doppelganger can stand guard there. There's no need for everyone to worry, Wu Lingfei said. That's good. Pack up and we'll set off, Night Sorrow said. Then Wu Lingfei called for a meeting with all the higher-ups of the Eastern Xian region to make arrangements. In fact, before the meeting, her doppelganger had already left for the Dark Island. Night Sorrow told Ho Jian and the others, as well as the members of the Bloodstrike Guards, and started to pack up and prepare to leave. After letting Ho Jian and the others, who planned to go to Dongxian City with him, say goodbye to the sect, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. He didn't plan to return to the Medicine Valley, so he had to greet the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the other senior brothers. At the Medicine Valley's campsite, Night Sorrow saw the higher-ups of the Nebula sect. They thanked the Medicine Valley for coming to help regardless of the past. At the same time, they expressed their attitude. If the Medicine Valley needed help in the future, the Nebula sect wouldn't refuse. The Great Elder and the others also agreed. Currently, the Medicine Valley was at the peak of its power. Or rather, the Medicine Valley's venerables were relatively weak, but they could still develop. The most important thing was that the Medicine Valley had a strong network of connections. Its soft power was ferocious, and its allies were the Southern Dipper sect and the Thunder Rumbling sect. In addition, it was inextricably linked to the City Lord's mansion. Almost all the businesses of the Golden Flame sect in Dongxian City had been taken over by the Medicine Valley. As long as one wasn't a fool, one would know what would happen in the future. When they saw Night Sorrow, the people of the Nebula sect greeted him. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Then Night Sorrow told the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and his senior brothers about his decision. Okay, go back when you have time. It's also convenient to have a teleportation formation. In addition, take what I told you last time to heart. If you have time, go back and fight for it, the Great Elder said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Great Elder was talking about the 8-Dragon Cauldron. He wasn't stingy with the Medicine Valley. Similarly, the Medicine Valley also fully supported Night Sorrow's rise. At present, Night Sorrow was the face of the Medicine Valley. The rise of Night Sorrow was equivalent to the rise of the Medicine Valley. If Night Sorrow didn't fall, it meant that the Medicine Valley wouldn't fall. This was because the current network of connections in the Medicine Valley was almost all built up by Night Sorrow. After greeting them, Night Sorrow returned to his team. At this time, the Tianji Tower team and the Blood-Robed Guards team had finished packing up. After Night Sorrow returned, the upper echelons of the Eastern Xian region also arrived at the front of all the teams. Then Elder Dai Tianxiang of the City Lord's Manor announced a decision. The representatives of the major sects were summoned to the City Lord's Manor to discuss the issue of the Scarlet Cloud sect's takeover of Dongxian City. The city lord's manor's decision meant that the Scarlet Cloud sect's influence in Dongxian City was to be eliminated. This was Wu Lingfei's order. There was no need to nurture a force that couldn't fight for the Eastern Xian region. It was a complete waste of resources. It was better to eliminate it directly and nurture other forces. Chapter 470. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I'm sure everyone knows the reason. No one will fuss over the small details, but we can't be careless. As a citizen of the Eastern Xian domain, the interests of the Eastern Xian domain must be our top priority. No one cares about how you fight normally, but if you dare to play tricks when the Eastern Xian domain is in danger, then I'm sorry. Dai Tianqiang stated the reason for banning the Scarlet Cloud sect. Not satisfied. If the Scarlet Cloud sect didn't agree, then they would be obliterated. The Dongxian city's city lord manor wouldn't interfere under normal circumstances. The development of the sects and clans in the region was left to their own devices, but they couldn't be without principles. If one wanted to develop in the Eastern Xian domain, they could fight for territory and resources, but they couldn't be without a bottom line. If they couldn't contribute to the Eastern Xian domain, then the city lord manor wouldn't tolerate it. I hope you can take this as a warning. There's one more thing. The Starcloud sect has been under our protection for 20 years. In these 20 years, you're not allowed to infringe on their interests. You've all seen the reason. They've been fighting all this time. Even though their disciples have suffered heavy losses, the Starcloud sect didn't retreat. In addition, the Starcloud sect has to be disciplined. If you step out of line, then this protection order will be removed. Yes, sir. The Starcloud sect's people bowed. Withdraw. After giving another order, Wu Lingfei's body flickered a few times and she left Broken Cloud Mountain. Night Sorrow then turned around and said, "Release the mounts. Let's go." The mounts of the Blood Strike Guards were slightly inferior, so they were slower. It took them more than half a day to arrive at the Starcloud City. The Starcloud sect was generous. They didn't ask for any spiritual stones, and let them teleport for free. After teleporting to Dongxian City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yishan shouted, "Go back and wait for the servants to cook. That's a bit slow. Everyone move out now. Go buy some dishes. Bring more meat." Following Night Sorrow's shout, the group scattered like birds and beasts, doing what they were supposed to do. This group of people is too interesting. Not bad, they're all true to themselves, Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's go back to the mansion. When they come back, we can eat and drink to our heart's content. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu back to the mansion. The Blood Strike Guards and the Tianji Tower team quickly gathered at Night Sorrow's mansion. They set up a table in the garden and started drinking. This banquet lasted for 4 hours. After the group of people had truly enjoyed themselves to the fullest, they dispersed. Back in the living room, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea brewed by Sikong Chiyu. This time, they can finally stop. Who knows? The world is ever-changing. It's better to cultivate and improve your strength, Sikong Chiyu said. Night Sorrow nodded, knowing that strength was the foundation of everything. However, 13, you don't have to feel pressured. Just let nature take its course. Cultivation isn't something that can be achieved overnight, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow stood up and said, "All right, I'll go see some Auntie Faye. Since we're back, we should at least say hello." However, Night Sorrow didn't see Wu Lingfei in the observation tower. Soon after, Night Sorrow returned to the main building. "Why are you back so soon?" Sikong Chiyu asked. "I didn't see her. Maybe she didn't come back, because she was handling some matters." Night Sorrow said, "There are so many things to do now. She has to make arrangements for Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. She'll be very busy," Sikong Chiyu said. "She'll probably be back a little later. It's getting late. You two should enjoy some alone time." Yang Lei smiled and left the main building. Night Sorrow turned to look at Sikong Chiyu. After hearing Yang Lei's words and noticing Night Sorrow's gaze, Sikong Chiyu blushed. "How can you look at people like that? Everything is in your eyes." "Then let's go rest," Night Sorrow said as he held Sikong Chiyu's hand. Sikong Chiyu nodded slightly. Then the two of them went to Night Sorrow's bedroom. Chiyu, how's your cultivation going? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down on the bed. It should be fine. But I don't know until I try, Sikong Chiyu said softly. Most Zen Chapter H section C. Then I'll cooperate fully, Night Sorrow said as he took off his outer robe. How should I say this? If both of us benefit, at the very least, we won't be hurt. We really have to cooperate, Sikong Chiyu whispered in Night Sorrow's ear. Okay, I'll listen to you later, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Sikong Chiyu. Then there was the sound of clothes falling to the ground. Amidst the hugs and kisses and Sikong Chiyu's soft moans, Night Sorrow invaded Sikong Chiyu's delicate body. Slow down. Sikong Chiyu reached out and knocked Night Sorrow's leg. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that after not being together for a long time, Sikong Chiyu's body was not used to it. After burning passionately for a while, Sikong Chiyu hugged Night Sorrow and whispered something in Night Sorrow's ear. Then, Night Sorrow cooperated with Sikong Chiyu, and the two of them began to cultivate the harmonization technique. Night Sorrow was not used to doing other things while exercising. He was a little distracted. In the end, Sikong Chiyu pinched his ear and reminded him to get into the zone. They cultivated for half the night. After bathing, Sikong Chiyu asked Night Sorrow, "How is it?" "Very good. It's good that I can be intimate with you and cultivate. I don't feel tired at all even though I've been busy for half the night," Night Sorrow said. "As for me, my cultivation has improved significantly," Sikong Chiyu said softly. "That's good. You should rest. I'm going to cultivate." Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chiyu and said, "One night won't make a difference. Stay with me," Sikong Chiyu said as he held Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow nodded and hugged Sikong Chiyu to rest. Over the next 2 days, Night Sorrow, Yanglei, and Sikong Chiyu all cultivated the harmonization technique. The technique had little effect on Night Sorrow, but it was very helpful to the two girls. This was because Night Sorrow's blood qi was surging, and he was full of yang qi. After refining the yang qi that naturally flowed out of Night Sorrow's body, the two girls benefited a lot. When not cultivating, Night Sorrow would play with Tianyu and Silver Fox or watch the Bloodstrike Guard brothers cultivate. After 2 days of peace, Wu Lingfei returned with Lan Yuxuan. "Aunt Fei, Lord Supervisor is here. Have a seat." Night Sorrow, who was cultivating the spear, put away his reincarnation spear and greeted them. "You've worked hard," Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. "It's a chaotic world now. It's always good to have more strength," Night Sorrow said as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. "That's a good idea. Do you have any plans recently?" Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. "Not really. What's wrong, Aunt Fei? Do you need help at the Island of Darkness?" Night Sorrow asked. Chapter 471. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. But right now the Eastern Xian region is in troubled times. "I don't want to leave," Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. "It should be safe, at least for a while," Wu Lingfei said. "I haven't made any plans for this yet, nor have I prepared anything." Night Sorrow was a little hesitant. "There's nothing to prepare. You're just going to meet the people at Tianji Tower's headquarters, then come back. You don't have to worry about anything else," Wu Lingfei said. "All right, I'll go," Night Sorrow said. "Take them as a tour." Wu Lingfei pointed at Yanglei and Sikong Chiyu. "All right then, Supervisor Lan, when are we leaving?" Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and asked. "It's up to you guys. I can do it anytime," Lan Yuxuan said. "Then let's do it tomorrow," Yishang said. "All right. Come find me at Tianji Tower tomorrow." Lan Yuxuan nodded. She was here for Night Sorrow this time. Once she brought Night Sorrow to the headquarters, her mission would be considered complete. Lan Yuxuan left, but Wu Lingfei didn't. "I'm going to the Tianji Tower headquarters. Will they arrange something for me? I don't have time to worry about anything right now." "Love go little say," Night Sorrow said. This was also the reason why he hesitated. "It's fine. Just say that it's my idea to return to the Eastern Xian region," said Wu Lingfei. "That's good." Night Sorrow hated trouble. After resting for a night, He greeted Ho Jian, Xueling, and the others. He bowed to the attic where Wu Lingfei was resting. Night Sorrow put on his mask and left the mansion with Yang Lei and Xikong Qiyu. He rode his Tianyu to Tianji Tower. In the lobby of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lan Yuxuan waiting for them. Then let's go. Lan Yuxuan, who was also wearing a mask, waved at Night Sorrow. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow and the other two released their mounts. You all have mounts. I released mine a long time ago. Lan Yuxuan said when she saw Night Sorrow and the other two's mounts. Supervisor Lan, you can ride with me. Yang Lei said to Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She used to fly when she went out. A supremacy's flight was much faster than a flying beast. However, she wanted to ride with Night Sorrow and the other two now. After the four of them arrived at the teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones and said, to Linhai City. When they arrived at Linhai City, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones without exiting the teleportation array. Taiyue region's East Smoke City. In the 9-domain world, the Qingtian region occupied the most central position. If one wanted to go to the Qingtian region from the eastern Xian region, they had to pass through the Taiyue region. The Taiyue region's East Smoke City was located in the same location as the eastern Xian region's Linhai City. This time, the teleportation took a longer time. It took the four of them 5 minutes to complete the teleportation. Continue to teleport to Dongxiang City. Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones again. After exiting Dongxiang City's teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan said, it must be tiring to take the teleportation array continuously, right? Let's go to the Tianji Tower's branch to rest for a while. I'll go check on them and see if they've done what I asked them to do. We'll continue our journey tomorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Of course, he would listen to Lan Yuxuan's opinion now. After checking into the guest room arranged by Dongxiang City's Tianji Tower, Xikong Qiyu brewed a pot of tea. We'll be flying tomorrow. I wonder why Dongxiang City doesn't open the teleportation array to Taiyue City? Xikong Qiyu asked. Due to the severe depletion of the teleportation crystals, it will only be open during times of war or under special circumstances. Lan Yuxuan said after entering the room. It's nothing. We have mounts. We can just fly slowly, Night Sorrow said. Then you guys should rest early. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Lan Yuxuan said to them. After Lan Yuxuan left, Night Sorrow and the other two chatted casually. It'll probably take some time to reach Qingtian City, Night Sorrow said as he stood in front of the window and looked at Dongxiang City. Our trip will probably take about a month, Xikong Qiyu said. I thought we'd be able to teleport there if we kept taking the teleportation array. Night Sorrow said. The teleportation array is limited. Also, due to strategic reasons, many teleportation arrays aren't usually opened. They'll only be opened during special times and under orders from the royal city, Xikong Qiyu said to Night Sorrow. I understand. Qiyu, it's best that you don't expose your fire phoenix. Tomorrow, you'll take the Tianyu with me. Ninth senior sister, you'll monitor with Lan Yuxuan, Night Sorrow said. All right, that's settled then. Yang Lei said. She knew that Xikong Qiyu's whereabouts were still quite sensitive. It would be troublesome if they were discovered. Although they weren't afraid now, it was better to have one more problem than one less. Xikong Qiyu and Yang Lei didn't leave Night Sorrow's room either. They meditated and cultivated in the room. After dawn, the four of them set off. According to Night Sorrow's arrangement, 2 flying demonic beasts carried the 4 of them. The dark-feathered eagle and Tianyu were of the same level, but there was a big difference in speed. Night Sorrow had to let Tianyu control its speed. They traveled during the day and rested at night. The following days were very peaceful. After half a month, the group arrived at the royal city of Taiyue region. When they arrived at Taiyue City, Lan Yuxuan wanted to bring the 3 of them to the Tianji Tower branch to rest. However, Night Sorrow wanted them to rest in an inn. That way, they would be more comfortable. Lan Yuxuan nodded and stayed in the inn with the 3 of them. During the journey, Night Sorrow didn't stop cultivating. His true qi and cultivation of the myriad Daras tome had improved. The improvement of his soul power and bloodline talent was also very smooth. Taiyue region is also a relatively backward region. In the last region war, many supremacies were killed by Lord Wu Quebec. The Taiwa City's city lord also went missing after that battle. The situation might not be optimistic, Lan Yuxuan said. I heard about this from Aunt Fei. Knight Sorrow nodded. This is the difference. Back then, Qingtian region joined forces with Taiwa region to take down Eastern Xian region. In the end they suffered heavy losses. Qingtian region recovered quickly, but Taiwa region was almost annihilated, Lan Yuxuan said. Aunt Fei has recovered. They don't know what's going on, Knight Sorrow said. I'm not sure about that. However, even if they were given the guts, they wouldn't dare to attack the Eastern Xian region again. Although the Eastern Xian region doesn't have many venerables and the cultivation level of their cultivators is somewhat low, Master Wu Kei is an insurmountable mountain. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is an important factor for the stability of Eastern Xian region. Without Aunt Fei's suppression, the other regions wouldn't be so obedient. Knight Sorrow sighed. Look at the chapter BJI of the C edition. Chapter 472. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So there's such a thing. Knight Sorrow sighed. Yes. In the past, Wu Kei Lord didn't stay in the Eastern Xian region. She often traveled to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. She was our Tianji Tower's Heaven's Terminus envoy, chief supervisor, and vice Kei Lord. Later, when the old Kei Lord was about to die, he had to choose between Wu Kei Lord and the current Chief Kei Lord to take over the position. However, at that time, the Qingtian region and Taiwa region started a war with the Eastern Xian region. Lan Yuxuan explained in detail. After the war broke out, Wu Lingfei returned to the Eastern Xian region and led people to fight the people of the Qingtian region and Taiwa region. The battlefield was outside the Eastern Xian region's waterfront city. After Wu Lingfei killed many venerables, she fought with the Qingtian city's city lord and Taiwa city's city lord until both sides suffered heavy losses. Knight Sorrow knew what happened next. I see. Then Supervisor Lan, I want to ask, in each region, is the King City's city lord the most powerful person? Knight Sorrow asked. No, the situation is different in each region. The region lord is the true ruler. At present, only the Southernly region has a region lord. The other 8 regions shouldn't have any region lords, or maybe it hasn't been announced. Lan Yuxuan thought for a moment and said, why do some have it and some don't? Knight Sorrow didn't understand. This involves a big problem. Let's put it this way. Our 9 regions world was broken into 9 regions and 18 prefectures after the ancient investiture of the gods. The world's origin was also broken into 9 pieces. Each region has a broken origin. Only by refining the origin can one become a region lord. Do you understand what this means? Lan Yuxuan said to Knight Sorrow. If that's the case, then I understand. Yishang nodded. The city lord of the 9 king city isn't necessarily a region lord, but a region lord is likely to be a city lord. This is probably the case. Lan Yuxuan said. If he has refined the origin source, then he must be very powerful. Isn't the Southly region the strongest of the 9 regions? Yang Lei asked in shock. Not necessarily. The domain lord of the Southly region appeared 200 years ago. At that time, he was still a nameless 3rd-rank cultivator. Later on, he went into seclusion. No one knows what his current situation is. Of course, with this factor, no one would dare to provoke the Southly region. Even if it's a broken source stone, it's still extraordinary. It's not in source stone, but a part of the 9 domain world's broken source bead, Lan Yuxuan said. This is a potential for development. With this deterrence, no one would dare to act recklessly. Sikong Chiyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chiyu said. Yes, that's it. Let's not talk about this. You guys should rest early. Tomorrow, we'll take the teleportation array and leave. However, there is still an area in between that we need to fly. Lan Yuxuan said to Knight Sorrow and the others. Why aren't some teleportation arrays open? Knight Sorrow felt helpless. He felt that it would be much easier to just teleport there directly. They are afraid of a domain war breaking out. The other party will snatch the teleportation array, and rush to the core area to attack, so they need a buffer zone, Lan Yuxuan said. Can't our Eastern Xian region directly teleport to Waterfront City? They just lack magnanimity. Knight Sorrow snorted. He was very dissatisfied with the current situation. That's because the Wu Kei Lord is domineering. Basically, no one will go and cause trouble. The other regions can't do the same. A domain war can break out at any time, so everyone has to be on guard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. After resting for a night, the four of them took the teleportation array to Taiyue Region's West Liang City. Then the four of them continued to fly to Taiyue Region's West Sea City. That was the waterfront city of Taiyue Region. It was also where the teleportation array to Qingtian Region was located. It took 6 days for the four of them to reach West Sea City. After crossing the Domain Sea, we will reach Qingtian Region, Lan Yuxuan said to Knight Sorrow and the others. But to reach the core area of Qingtian Region, we still have to fly for a while, Sikong Chiyu said. I'm already used to it. In the past, it took me a few months to travel to the Far East Icefield. After experiencing so much, my tolerance has increased, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Sitting in the teleportation array, the four of them arrived at Qingtian Region's East Hua City. All right, let's rest for a night. Tomorrow we will continue our long journey, Lan Yuxuan said to the four of them. If Lan Yuxuan traveled by herself, the time would be much shorter. After all, the flying speed of a venerable was several times that of a rank 5 flying demonic beast. She had to accommodate Knight Sorrow and the others since she was carrying Knight Sorrow and the others. The four of them checked into an inn. Be careful. Jiyu clan's forces are everywhere in Qingtian Region. We will be discovered if we're not careful, Sikong Chiyu said to Knight Sorrow. Then where is the territory of your clan? Knight Sorrow asked. It's in the north of Beiling City, Sikong Chiyu said. Do you plan to go home this time? Knight Sorrow hesitated for a while and asked. I think I'd better not. It's too troublesome. Sikong Chiyu shook his head. Up to 3. I think so too. Knight Sorrow, you are now at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. If you work hard and advance to the Venerable Realm, there won't be any problems. Lan Yuxuan looked at Knight Sorrow and said. She knew about the matter between Knight Sorrow and Sikong Chiyu. Then, I'll have to trouble you for a while more. When I improve my strength, it will be once and for all. The problem will be solved once and for all. Knight Sorrow clenched his fists and said. After chatting for a while, Lan Yuxuan went to another room to rest. Chuyu, now that we've returned to Qingtian Region, do you have anything else to do? Knight Sorrow asked. I want to visit my grandfather. I don't want him to worry. Sikong Chiyu thought for a while and said. After we're done with our business, we'll make a trip there. Knight Sorrow nodded. When we see my grandfather, we'll ask him to bring the news to my parents. Then my parents won't be worried, Sikong Chiyu said. All right. We don't have anything to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower. We just need to report our arrival and show our faces. After that, we'll head to Cloud Mist Mountain. Knight Sorrow could understand Sikong Chiyu's thoughts very well. After resting for a night, the four of them flew towards the core area of Qingtian Region. They were going to East Park City to take the teleportation array. That way, they would be able to reach Qingtian City directly. Supervisor Lan, what do I need to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower? Is it troublesome? Knight Sorrow asked. You just need to see the Chief Tower Master, the Elders, and the others. You'll be officially appointed as the Heaven's Fate Envoy. Of course, they might let you stay at the headquarters. It's up to you, Lan Yuxuan said. Supervisor Lan, you know that I'm going back to Eastern Xian Region. I can't stay at the headquarters. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said. I understand. They're just suggesting. They won't force you. Besides, they'll respect Master Wu Kei's wishes, Lan Yuxuan said. That's good. I don't want to be restrained. It'll be uncomfortable. I want to move forward with my own thoughts. Knight Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 473. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. It seems that Auntie Faye is quite powerful. Love go little say net chu Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Currently, Lord Wu Kei is still the deputy lord of Tianji Tower. Of course, Lord Wu Kei doesn't take this position seriously. Lan Yuxuan nodded. As long as Auntie Fei's intentions are effective, it's fine. Don't be forced to do something beyond your ability, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a night in Donghua City, Night Sorrow's group of 4 continued their journey to Dongyuan City. Once they arrived at Dongyuan City, they didn't need to fly anymore. They went directly to Qingtian City through the teleportation array. This time, it took them 5 days to reach East Garden City, and Lan Yuxuan brought the 3 of them into the city. Lan Yuxuan didn't take them to an inn. Instead, she brought them to a mansion. After instructing the servants not to let them enter the backyard, Lan Yuxuan took off her mask. I used to work in Dongyuan City, so I bought this mansion. I haven't been here for a long time. Sorry to trouble you, Supervisor Lan. Night Sorrow's group cupped their hands at Lan Yuxuan. After you take up the position, I will be your subordinate, so I have to establish a good relationship with you in advance, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Supervisor Lan, you must be joking. Night Sorrow shook his head. I'm not joking. The Celestial Emissary is actually the successor to several important positions in Tianji Tower. To put it simply, he is the young lord. Therefore, all the guardians, supervisors, and elders have to listen to his orders, Lan Yuxuan said seriously. Even if I become the Celestial Emissary, Supervisor Lan can just treat me as a decoration. I don't care about this, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about this now. You guys have a good rest. Treat this place like your own home. Rest for 2 days and walk around Dongyuan City. We'll set off after that. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow's group of 3 and left. $7. Forever. Asterisk 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 CK little plus T Night Sorrow, and the others didn't reject Lan Yuxuan's good intentions. Moreover, if Lan Yuxuan had other things to do, it would be very awkward if they said that they didn't need to rest. No matter where it is, it's not as comfortable as our Qingxin Cottage and Longquan Courtyard, Sikong Chiyu said. That's our territory. We can do whatever we want. It's the feeling of home. Staying in an inn or someone else's house, no matter how luxurious it is, it doesn't have that comfortable feeling, Yang Lei said with a smile. Soon after, someone brought over food and wine. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ai2xs.com. After the 3 of them finished eating, they went out on the street. Since they were already in East Park City, they might as well take a stroll. East Park City was also a first-rate city in the Qingtian region. East Park City was beautiful in the evening. Although it was not as prosperous as Dongxian City, it was still better than Danding City and Thunder City. Night Sorrow brought Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to a clothing store to buy a few sets of robes. After leaving the clothing store, Night Sorrow and the others strolled casually in front of a small street stall in front of the store. These stall owners were all cultivators. They took out resources that they didn't need to exchange for things that were suitable for them. Many cultivators did this. Night Sorrow used the Clear Void Elixir to exchange for a lot of Clear Void herbs. 1 cauldron of Clear Void Elixir could be exchanged for 3 cauldrons of ingredients, which was a good deal for Night Sorrow. This was also a good deal for cultivators who couldn't find an alchemy master. It was equivalent to a win-win situation. Night Sorrow then used his spirit stones to buy 2 Clear Void herbs. Night Sorrow didn't need these herbs, but the people of the Medicine Valley and the members of the Blood Strike Guard did. The 3 of them continued to look ahead. If there were suitable materials, Night Sorrow would sell them. After that, Night Sorrow found a lightning attribute crystal. However, the price was very high. The exchange rate for high-grade spirit stones was 100. 1 while the exchange rate for top-grade spirit stones was 1. This price was very high. One should know that one could buy a house in Dongxian City with 50 high-grade spirit stones. Such a price was also a little inappropriate. The exchange rate for spirit stones was 100. However, 100 high-grade spirit stones was definitely not enough to exchange for a top-grade spirit stone. A top-grade spirit stone was a very rare resource. The top-grade spirit stones in Night Sorrow's possession were also the product of several great opportunities. The others might not have seen top-grade spirit stones before. Of course, if the price wasn't high, Night Sorrow and the others wouldn't have had the chance to see the lightning attribute crystal either. The stall owner was a 6th void inquiry stage cultivator. He didn't really care if others bought it or not. Is an extreme void pill enough? Night Sorrow did not want to use spirit stones. If he ran out of pills, he could still refine them. Besides, to him level 5 pills were already redundant. However, high-grade spirit stones and top-grade spirit stones were very valuable. Both venerables and saints could use them. I only need one extreme void pill. The difference in value is too big. There's no way to negotiate. The black-robed man said. How about the clear void pill? Night Sorrow asked. He noticed that when he mentioned the extreme void pill, the corner of the stall owner's eyes twitched a little. 50 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for a lightning attribute crystal. After thinking for a while, the man said, 100 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for the 2 lightning attribute crystals here. Night Sorrow stated his intention. This isn't appropriate. The stall owner shook his head. Night Sorrow did not say anything and directly walked forward. He felt that this man was raising the price on the spot. The price he offered was already not low. All right. Don't go. It's your turn. Seeing Night Sorrow walking away, the stall owner shouted, There are 20 pills in this bottle. After Night Sorrow turned around, he took out 5 bottles of clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill, and handed them to the stall owner. Then he took the lightning attribute crystal from the stall owner, who had finished inspecting the pills. Glancing at the lightning attribute crystal, Night Sorrow directly left Yanglei and continued to move forward. We've made a profit. Although the pills are precious, we can still get them. However, the lightning attribute crystal is very rare. Sikong Chiyu said. Why would he do something like this? He didn't want to exchange just now. Yanglei glanced at Night Sorrow and said. She was obviously a little unhappy. Ninth senior sister, I know that he will definitely exchange. Don't cultivators need resources? Besides, if he doesn't agree, I will walk a few steps back and agree to the exchange. Will I give up the resources that ninth senior sister needs for a pill? Night Sorrow said with a wry smile. All right. I misunderstood you. Yanglei said while holding Night Sorrow's arm. We don't lack resources and spirit stones, but we can't let others take advantage of us. Well, let's continue to search for treasures. There are really some good things here. Night Sorrow said while patting Yanglei's hand that was holding his arm. Then the 3 of them continued to stroll around. When they came to an old man's stall, Night Sorrow's footsteps stopped again. Senior, how much is this clear void pill? Night Sorrow squatted down and asked. 20 top-grade crystal stones for a bottle, 10 pills for a bottle. The old man said. This price is not bad. Then give me a bottle. What kind of stone is this? Night Sorrow pointed to 2 cyan stones on the side of the stall and asked. I don't know. I got it in an ancient ruin. I almost died there. I don't know what material it is, but it is incomparably hard. If you want it, it will be 20 top-grade spirit stones. Although I don't know what material it is definitely worth the price. The old man said. Chapter 474. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At first, Yanglei and Sikong Chiyu didn't understand why Night Sorrow wanted to ask about medicinal pills. Both of them knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of clear void pills and great void pills. He also had a lot of materials that he hadn't refined yet, so it was impossible for him to be interested in pills. Seeing Night Sorrow ask about the stones, the 2 girls understood that Night Sorrow's real goal was the 2 cyan stones. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to ask for 20 upper-level spirit stones for materials that you don't know the value of? Yanglei asked. U5 forever HJ forever HK phi C small MB say /4 perhaps. This stone may not have much value, but I almost lost my life in that adventure. Just based on that, it's worth this price in my heart, the old man said. All right. Buy it. Go back and study it to see what it is. Yishang took out 40 high-grade spirit stones and gave them to the old man. Then, the old man gave a bottle of clear void pills and 2 stones to Night Sorrow. After putting away the clear void pill and the cyan stone, Night Sorrow continued to lead the 2 women forward. Night Sorrow, what's that? Sikong Chiyu asked after they were some distance away from the old man's stall. A great opportunity, or rather, a great opportunity for both of you. Let's talk about it when we return to the inn. Yishan scanned the surroundings and then said, let's go. Yishan said as he scanned the surroundings. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was not someone who liked to exaggerate. If he said that it was a great opportunity, then it must be a very precious treasure. Following that, the 3 of them continued to stroll around the street stall. However, it would appear that their luck had run out. After failing to find anything else, the 3 of them returned to the inn. Hurry up and tell us what that is. Yang Lei shook Night Sorrow's arm and said, Void Dao Stone, a top-notch medium for condensing clones. It can even be said that its value is comparable to source stones. I originally had 1, but today I got 2 more. The problem of condensing clones in the future has been solved, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Void Dao Stone. It's actually the legendary Void Dao Stone. Void Dao Stone is the best medium for condensing soul clones. However, it's hard to say if Ninth Senior Sister and I can condense clones. The prerequisite for condensing clones is that your soul power is strong. If your soul power is not strong enough and you split a part of it, the consequences, Sikong Chiyu said. This thing is a good treasure. If you need it, come and get it from me. Today's luck is really good. Night Sorrow was more excited. One of the Void Dao stones that Night Sorrow had obtained today was relatively large, while the other was relatively small. The larger one was 3 times larger than Wu Lingfei's Void Dao Stone Orb, and the smaller one was similar to the one he had obtained before. It was about the same size as the one Wu Lingfei had used. Today I'll stick it all to you. These 2 Thunder Attribute Crystal Stones can increase my attribute power. Let's not talk about how much my cultivation will increase, but if my main attribute power increases, my fighting strength will increase. Yang Lei was more excited. Hee, it's good that it's helpful. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was happy for Yang Lei. Ninth Senior Sister, did you notice that our family's Night Sorrow is very smart? He knew that the Void Dao Stone was the main point, but he still opened his mouth to buy pills. This move is very beautiful. Sikong Chiyu smiled as he looked at Night Sorrow. Indeed, if we directly ask the stone, the old man will pay attention. It's possible that he will raise the price, and there will also be other variables. This way, it will be solved easily. Yang Lei nodded. She also agreed with Night Sorrow's method. In the future, we have to walk around more. Who knows, we might be able to meet someone who sells water attribute crystal stones and nothingness attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow said. Don't even think about it. There are a lot of water attribute cultivators, so water attribute crystal stones are definitely in short supply. As for nothingness attribute crystal stones, you dare to think about it? Without nothingness energy as a foundation, how can it produce nothingness crystal stones? You should refine that thing and go to the void fiendish space to look for it. Sikong Chiyu said to attack Night Sorrow. Alright, then can I go look for other attributes? I can use ice attribute crystal stones and space attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow retorted with a smile. You're awesome. Sikong Chiyu gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Rest. Chiyu, why don't the 3 of us sleep together? Yang Lei asked Sikong Chiyu with a smile. I still care about my face. Do you still want to see me tomorrow? Sikong Chiyu rolled his eyes at Yang Lei. This is between the 3 of us. Others don't know. What's there to be afraid of? 13 Ninth Senior Sister will help you massage. You do it. Yang Lei hugged Sikong Chiyu's shoulders and pressed Sikong Chiyu onto the bed. Ninth Senior Sister, this is someone else's house. The Venerable One's soul power is very strong. You will find out. If we want to cause trouble, we will do it at home. Night Sorrow reached out to help Sikong Chiyu up. You only know how to bully me. Sikong Chiyu, who was pulled up by Night Sorrow, directly pressed down on Yang Lei's body. Two jade hands were kneading Yang Lei's breasts. Don't move. That's 13th. Yang Lei turned over and pressed Sikong Chiyu down. Night Sorrow was helpless, but he was also happy. This proved that the two of them had a good relationship. After fooling around for a while, the two girls stopped. Their faces were red as they tidied up their skirts. Chiyu, I'm not joking. I can't handle him alone. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow had finished cultivating the outer chapter of the Myriad Daos tome. His ability in that area had become much stronger. Every time they were together, the two girls would have a hard time. We'll talk about it when we get home. Sikong Chiyu didn't refute this time. Then the three of them sat down to cultivate. Time was squeezed out. Only by putting all their time and energy into cultivation would they have any achievements. The next day, the three of them continued to walk the streets, but they didn't gain anything. Night Sorrow knew that it was impossible for good things to happen when they went out. He should be satisfied with obtaining the Phantom Daos Stone. After resting for 2 days, Lan Yuxuan took the three of them to the Sky-Bearing region's capital, Sky-Bearing City. After exiting the teleportation array, the four of them rode Tianyu and the dark-feathered eagle under Lan Yuxuan's guidance. In the sky, Night Sorrow and the others saw a tall pagoda that reached into the clouds. The tip of the pagoda emitted light that rippled in all directions. That's the symbol of the Sky-Bearing region, the Xiantian Tower. If you have time, you can go and challenge it. If you reach a high level, the rewards will be great. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked, Who's the owner of the Xiantian Tower? I've never heard of an owner. It's owned by the City Lord's mansion. Some spirit treasures are very difficult to control because the artifact's spirit doesn't recognize them. It's hard to say what level the Xiantian Tower is at right now. It has existed for countless years and might have evolved, so it's not that easy to become its owner. Even the City Lord of the Royal City can't do it. Lan Yuxuan said. It's the strongest spirit treasure of the Sky-Bearing region, and the symbol of the Sky-Bearing region. Sikong Chiyu said. Then if we just leave it like this, aren't we afraid that someone will recognize it as its owner and move it away? Yang Lei said. It's not that easy. Countless people have tried to challenge the tower over the years, but no one has been recognized by the Xiantian Tower. Besides, there are so many elders guarding it. If anyone wants to move it away, it's no different from poking a hornet's nest. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Chapter 475. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at the Xiantian Tower and pondered. The Xiantian Tower was truly domineering and pierced through the clouds. It was ancient and fragrant. Hee, why are you interested? Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I'm interested. I'll give it a try when I have time, Night Sorrow said. Okay. Let's go to Tianji Tower's headquarters now. Remember, the matters of the Tianji Tower's headquarters cannot be leaked, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. We will, Night Sorrow said. After a while, they arrived in front of an ancient and majestic pavilion. This place is called the Celestial Peak Pavilion. We don't deal with outsiders. You can say that if you don't have a Tianji Tower token on you, you will be mercilessly killed by the array formation inside the Celestial Peak Pavilion. Keep your tokens on you, don't put them in your storage rings. Lan Yuxuan stood in front of the pavilion and said. So terrifying. Night Sorrow said with some surprise. At the same time, he took out his ID card and placed it in his bosom. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu did the same. Of course, what is this place? It's the headquarters of our Tianji Tower, Lan Yuxuan said. I feel that it's even more domineering than the City Lord's mansion. When I passed by the City Lord's mansion just now, I didn't feel that way. Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. You're right, Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. Our Tianji Tower might not be as influential as the Royal City's City Lord Manor, but that's because our forces are scattered. If our Tianji Tower's forces are concentrated in a single region, it would be easy for us to slaughter a royal city. Take the Eastern Profound region's branch palace as an example. Mistress Wu Kei alone can suppress an entire region. As she spoke, Lan Yuxuan brought the 4 of them into the pavilion. Indeed, Tianji Tower is scattered in the 9 regions and 18 states. If all the branches are gathered together, their strength is indeed difficult to estimate, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. However, the City Lord's mansion's strength can't be estimated simply. The City Lord's mansion is a top force in a region. Fighting with the City Lord's mansion means starting a war with a region. The consequences are also very serious. Lan Yuxuan led the group into the pavilion's lobby. The people in the lobby were all members of Tianji Tower wearing bronze masks. Lan Yuxuan led them through the main hall of the pavilion and arrived at the backyard. Why are there so many patrols? Yishan muttered when they reached the backyard of the main building. No. They aren't patrollers. Patrollers are selected from various forces. These are the Death Warriors nurtured by the Heaven's Extreme Tower. The Bronze Palace Warriors are only responsible for fighting. They fight to protect the glory of the Heaven's Extreme Tower, Lan Yuxuan explained. Then why are we allowed to go in and out? Yang Lei asked, puzzled. When we entered the pavilion, the array didn't attack us. This means that we have a token and are the core members of Tianji Tower. Also, are the masks on our faces fake? Lan Yuxuan said helplessly. Lan Yuxuan then led the 3 of them into a small courtyard. This is my resting and cultivation place. Just as Lan Yuxuan was speaking, 2 maids came over and bowed. Serve these lords well. Yang Lei and Chu, you don't need to wear masks here. They are all trained by Tianji Tower and are absolutely loyal. Lan Yuxuan took off her mask and said. Then the few of them took off their masks and drank the tea served by the maids. The 2 of you can rest here first. When Night Sorrow is officially appointed as the Celestial Oracle, you don't have to stay here because the higher-ups will arrange a residence for you. Lan Yuxuan took a sip of tea and said. That's not important. I'll have to trouble Inspector Lan. Sikong Chiyu cupped his hands towards Lan Yuxuan. Their problem also needs to be solved. After entering the 5th Order, it's not an ordinary inspection. The headquarters will make arrangements for this. However, your matter is more important, so I have to make arrangements first. I still have to be a good guide. Lan Yuxuan finished her tea and stood up, saying to Night Sorrow. We're going to meet someone? Night Sorrow also stood up. Yes. Come with me to meet the real higher-ups. Put on your mask first. Lan Yuxuan said and put on her mask. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu, put on his mask, and then looked at Lan Yuxuan. We can go now. Under Lan Yuxuan's lead, Night Sorrow and her entered the back pavilion of the Celestial Oracle Pavilion. Lan Yuxuan took out her token from time to time and showed it to the palace guard. Then the 2 went down the stairs and went underground. At this time, the palace guard was already wearing a silver mask. At this time, Night Sorrow also needed to show his token. Without it, he would have to stop. Seeing Night Sorrow's white token with a flame, the palace guard let them go. Night Sorrow followed Lan Yuxuan to an underground hall. There was a teleportation array in the underground hall, and a man with a golden mask stood in front of it. Night Sorrow, take off your mask. After coming here, you can't wear a mask anymore. Lord Tianqing, this is Night Sorrow who passed the Celestial Oracle 5 stars assessment. I'm going to take him to the Dark Tower. Lan Yuxuan said to the man with the golden mask after taking off her mask. Okay. He has a token. His identity has been confirmed, so you can teleport. Inspector Lan, please. After glancing at Night Sorrow's token, the man with the golden mask took a step back. Night Sorrow nodded slightly. He knew that this was Tianji Tower's Golden Palace Guard, the core force. However, he also noticed the difference in the mask. Whether it was an inspector, a protector, or a supervisor, their masks had patterns on them. However, the masks of these palace guards were shiny without any patterns. As the Golden Palace Guard called Tianqing stepped back, Lan Yuxuan took Night Sorrow and stepped into the teleportation array. Then, she picked up the crystal placed on the side and inserted it into the card slot to teleport. After a moment of absent-mindedness, Lan Yuxuan and Yi Shang arrived at a special location. There was a teleportation array beneath their feet, and they were surrounded by a lush ancient forest. Not far away, there was an incomparably grand hall. At this time, there was a golden palace guard outside the teleportation array. Lord Jinhua, this is the person the chief wants to see. Lan Yuxuan said to the woman with the golden mask. Go. The woman with the golden mask nodded after glancing at the token in Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow, this is the real core area of Tianji Tower, the Dark Tower. The chief, the law enforcement elders, and the protector elders are all here. Tianji Tower's highest order is also issued from here. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. I understand. It's almost impossible for this place to be captured. Night Sorrow said. See latest chapter section above 0T, yes. When entering the teleportation array in the underground palace, you can't wear a mask. Those who can enter the Dark Tower are limited to some of the higher-ups. Lord Tianxing can confirm your identity 100%. It's impossible for anyone to sneak in. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. It's an ancient inheritance. There is indeed a set of strict rules and methods. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 476. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So strict? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course, what is this place? It's the core of Tianji Tower. I've just obtained the qualifications to enter this place, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. I understand. Then, under Lan Yuxuan's lead, the two entered the main hall. There were two old men meditating in the main hall. When they saw Lan Yuxuan and Night Sorrow arrive, they opened their eyes. Yu Xian, is this the Night Sorrow who passed the heavenly fate assessment? An old man wearing a blue robe asked. Yes, elderly. Night Sorrow, let me introduce you. This is the guardian elder of Tianji Tower, elderly, and this is the law-enforcing elder, Elder Hua, Lan Yuxuan introduced. Yishang greets the two elders. Yishang bowed in greeting. It has been less than 3 years since you entered the Purple Light Realm. You are already at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage and your essence chi is more than 10 zhang asterisk 3. 33 M per zhang. Good. Very good. Elderly looked at Night Sorrow and said good twice in a low voice. It was obvious that he was very emotional. According to the records, Night Sorrow has only been cultivating for 3 years. Men, go and inform the Chief K-Master, the Chief Supervisor, and the Chief Protector to come here. Elder Hua, whose beard was like steel needles, shouted behind him. Then, a figure wearing a pitch-black mask appeared and left the hall. Sit anywhere you want. You don't have to be reserved. With a wave of his arm, Elderly kept the futon and sat down on a chair by the side. Then he pointed to a chair beside him and said to Night Sorrow, J, the only %positive as hashtag version. Its all VW is D** steel C version Lu. Thank you, elderly. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and found a seat. Then this subordinate will take her leave. Lan Yuxuan bowed and said. There's no need. I need you to convey something later. Elder Hua waved his hand and stopped Lan Yuxuan from leaving. Night Sorrow, is Mistress Wu Kei doing well? Elderly asked. Everything is fine. Thank you for your concern, Elder. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Sit down. You're the most outstanding member that Tianji Tower has discovered in hundreds of years. I'm very happy. Elderly said while stroking his long beard. Just as they were talking, 3 people walked in through the door. The middle-aged man in the lead was wearing a brocade robe, while the other 2 were wearing gray robes. Greetings, K-Master. Elderly, Elder Hua, and Lan Yuxuan all bowed. Night Sorrow also stood up and cupped his hands. Baidu search AI Go female sign shall say www.ai2xs. Suam nodding his head. The middle-aged man sat down on the main seat. The other 2 also sat down beside Elder Li and Elder Hua. Not bad at all. Seeing you, I can see the future of Tianji Tower. Let me introduce myself to you. I'm Lin Yuandao, the current K-Master of Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao introduced himself to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets K-Master. Night Sorrow bowed to Lin Yuandao. No need to be so polite. Everyone, introduce yourselves. Lin Yuandao said. Elderly stood up and introduced his position and name. Guardian Elder Lutrin Swan. Elder Hua stood up and introduced himself. Law Enforcement Elder Hua Haining. Chief Protector's name, Li Changtian. Chief Supervisor Elder Li Changtian. Night Sorrow, you've completed your 5 stars assessment, so there are some procedures you need to go through. Elder Li, please announce the absolute core of Tianji Tower, the rules you need to abide by, and the obligations you need to fulfill for Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao said to Lutrin Swan. Lutrin Swan stood up and read out the rules of Tianji Tower. The first rule was that Tianji Tower's interests were paramount, and they were not allowed to betray Tianji Tower. The other rules were that they were not allowed to kill non-cultivators, they were not allowed to commit crimes, and they were not allowed to commit crimes. It was similar to the rules of a sect. Night Sorrow can do these, but I hope you won't restrict my freedom. Night Sorrow said after listening to Lutrin Swan read out the rules. There are no restrictions, but when Tianji Tower is in danger, you must step forward bravely. You can't just sit back and do nothing. Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow can do it. I'll remember that I'm a member of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow said with a bow. That's right. Remember that you're a member of Tianji Tower. This is the core topic. Since there are no problems from today onwards, you're a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. Give me your token. Lin Yuandao stretched out his hand to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out his token and handed it to Lin Yuandao. After receiving Night Sorrow's token, Lin Yuandao took out his own golden token and combined it with Night Sorrow's token. Then both tokens lit up. Lin Yuandao then returned the token to Night Sorrow. The token has been activated and can be used officially. You can go anywhere in Tianji Tower without any hindrance. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. In the future, if you have any problems, just tell me, the 2 elders, the Chief Protector, and the Chief Supervisor. In addition, Supervisor Lan, you'll be in charge of Night Sorrow's situation from now on. If he doesn't understand, you can help him pass on a message to us. You can also introduce some people you don't know to us, Lin Yuandao said to Lan Yuxuan. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan said with a bow. You understand the position and mission of a Tianji envoy. In the future, put down other things in your hands and be in charge of Night Sorrow's matters. Lin Yuandao emphasized to Lan Yuxuan again. Lan Yuxuan obeyed again. It could be said that she was Night Sorrow's personal subordinate from now on. Night Sorrow later on. Have Chief Supervisor Guo arrange a residence for you. You can stay in Sky-bearing City and cultivate, Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. At this moment, Li Changtian's body shook and he swayed in his chair before stabilizing. What is it? Night Sorrow bowed to Li Changtian. He knew what was going on. The chief supervisor had been sizing him up, and then used his soul power to investigate, which caused a backlash from the heavenly fate pearl. What's wrong? Lin Yuandao stood up. This subordinate saw his blood and qi surging and essence qi rising to the top of his head. So I investigated and received a backlash, Li Changtian said awkwardly. Then it's fine. Chief Supervisor Guo will arrange a residence for Night Sorrow. Lin Yuandao continued the previous topic. Lord K, I will be leaving Sky-bearing City later on. I don't need a residence. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lutrin Swan stood up anxiously. How can that be? You are a Tianji envoy. Our Tianji Tower only has 2 Tianji envoys. How can you leave Sky-bearing City? Elderly, Night Sorrow is a member of Tianji Tower no matter where he goes. He won't give up on his dream of becoming an expert. The main thing is that the Eastern Xian region is in chaos right now. My Aunt Fei wants me to return first, Night Sorrow said. Who is Aunt Fei? You are a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. No one can dictate your path, Lin Yuandao said with a frown. Chapter 477. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. It seems that Tower Master Wu Kei has made arrangements. Then I won't interfere in this matter. However, a residence is still necessary. The Heaven's Fate emissaries need a place to stay in the headquarters. Love go little say, Chulin Yuandao thought for a moment and said. Then he handed Lan Yuxuan a round token. Supervisor Lan, arrange the 9th courtyard for Night Sorrow. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan bowed and took the token. Seniors, please continue with your work. Night Sorrow will take his leave. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said, Go. If you have any problems, come find us here. You can also come if you don't have anything to do, Lu Trinswan said. Yishang nodded, bowed once more, and left the hall. Lan Yuxuan bowed to the 5 people in the hall, and then followed Night Sorrow out of the hall. Supervisor Lan, these 5 are the absolute upper echelons of Tianji Tower, right? Night Sorrow asked as they walked. Yes, there are also 2 vice tower masters. Tower Master Wu Kei is one, and the other is a branch master of another region. They aren't in Qingtian City. In fact, Tianji Tower is one of the 7 giants, Lan Yuxuan said. Love go little say, Chu in the future, I may trouble Supervisor Lan with my matters. I hope Supervisor Lan will be more understanding, Yishang said. Don't say that, sir. This is what this subordinate should do, Lan Yuxuan said. Hearing Lan Yuxuan's words, Yishang was stunned and stopped in his tracks. Was this the change in status? He suddenly felt unfamiliar with Lan Yuxuan. Supervisor Lan, if you don't mind, you can call me Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and said, All right, calling you sir is indeed unfamiliar. But if you call me by name, the higher-ups will say something. Lan Yuxuan turned around and looked in the direction of the hall. Don't worry, this is what I want. Let's go. Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Once again arriving in front of the transmission array, Lan Yuxuan cupped her hands towards the woman wearing a golden mask. Lady Jin Yu, Lady Night Sorrow has officially been appointed as the Celestial Extremity Envoy. Please let her pass in the future. Subordinate Jin Yu greets Lord Heaven's Extremity Emissary. Jin Yu cupped her hands at Night Sorrow. Her cultivation was high, but she was only a Golden Palace guard. She had no position, so she was naturally a subordinate. Senior Jin Yu is too polite. I, Night Sorrow, am not worthy of such praise. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Goldmoon nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan took the transmission array and left Celestial Extreme Dark Tower, arriving at Celestial Extreme Pavilion's underground Great Hall, following which Lan Yuxuan introduced Night Sorrow's identity to Heavenly Star. This was to make it easier for Night Sorrow to pass through in the future. Heavenly Star was a bit slow, and wanted to check Night Sorrow's token. Night Sorrow knew that this was a responsible attitude, so he didn't mind and directly gave the token to Heavenly Star for inspection. After inspecting the token, Heavenly Star bowed to Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan then returned to the courtyard where she was resting. Lan Yuxuan said to Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu and Night Sorrow, who had just come out of the courtyard. This small courtyard is where the inspectors and enforcers rest. In addition, our Tianji Tower has an exclusive area in Qingtian City. Your residence is there. Let's go. Then let's go. Night Sorrow nodded. As they walked, Lan Yuxuan introduced the Celestial Extreme Pavilion situation. The Celestial Extreme Pavilion was the area where the inspectors, enforcers, and inspectors of Tianji Tower worked. The security level was very high, and it was completely different from the branch where missions were received and issued. Love Gobe Little, say Netku after exiting the Celestial Extreme Pavilion. The 4 of them flew on their flying demon beasts for 15 minutes before arriving at an orderly residence area. Lan Yuxuan let Night Sorrow and Yang Lei control Tianyu and the dark feathered eagle to land. This area is Tianji Tower's territory. Without a Tianji Tower token, you can't enter this area. At the same time, it's also a no-fly zone. If a flying demon beast appears, it will be killed. In the future, don't fly in this area, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. After entering the main street, the 4 of them were stopped. The leader was a silver-masked Silver Palace guard. Night Sorrow took out his token while Lan Yuxuan took out the round token that Guoxiao had given her. The silver-masked guard bowed in greeting, then checked Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's tokens before letting them go. At the same time, 2 bronze palace guards led the way. This area was different from other areas. It didn't have the hustle and bustle of the downtown area. Both sides of the street were filled with lush green ancient trees. This is the area where the core members of Tianji Tower live. In the middle are the residences of several big shots. The surrounding areas are the residences of some members with higher status, Lan Yuxuan said as she led the way. Then, the group arrived in front of an elegant residence. Original C version 9 First You. This is residence number 9. Sir, you may enter. One of the bronze palace guards said. Knight Sorrow nodded and led Lan Yuxuan, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu into the residence. The 2 bronze palace guards became the guards. There were 4 maidservants in the residence. Lan Yuxuan took out the residence token and announced that Knight Sorrow was the owner of the residence. Seeing the token, the maidservants bowed in greeting. Knight Sorrow, this place is absolutely safe. They are all trained by the Tianji Tower base. Like the palace guards, there is no problem with their loyalty, Lan Yuxuan said. Fortunately, at least there is a place to stay. Knight Sorrow smiled and was about to make tea, but a maidservant bowed and took the initiative to make tea. This place is very secretive. Every courtyard has a formation around it that can prevent detection. Lan Yuxuan said as she took the teacup from the maidservant. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that Lan Yuxuan was a shrewd person and knew what he was thinking. He was worried about this problem. If they were monitored, it would be uncomfortable to live there. Then where does Supervisor Lan live? Do you need to leave a room? Yang Lei asked. That's not necessary. I also live in this area. I live in residence number 21, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. In this area, the residences were numbered closer to the front, and the residences were numbered closer to the back. After staying for a while, Lan Yuxuan left. After sending Lan Yuxuan off, Knight Sorrow told Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu about his appointment as the Celestial Terminus emissary, and the attitude of the leaders. Very good. Things are perfect. We won't restrict your freedom, so you can do whatever you want. As for killing ordinary people, we won't do it. You have the 2 of us, we won't do it, Yang Lei said with a smile. Watching Knight Sorrow rise step by step, Yang Lei was very happy. She was even happier than her own achievements. Knight Sorrow, you may not know the significance of the Celestial Terminus emissary. That is the successor of Tianji Tower. What kind of power is Tianji Tower? All the city lord mansions of the 9 regions and 18 states have to give them face, Sikong Chuyu said. But I don't like the fact that the city lord mansions of King City and Tianji Tower have a good relationship, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 478. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Could it be that there are conflicts between the City Lord's office and Tianji Tower? Knight Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course. Eastern Xian region is completely under Ant Fei's control, so there are no conflicts. It's not like this in other regions. Conflicts are common, but no one would easily touch the interests of Tianji Tower. The main reason is that Tianji Tower is very self-disciplined, Sikong Chuyu said. That's indeed the case. If Tianji Tower is ambitious, they can gather the forces of the 9 regions and easily sweep through a region. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment. When Yi Shang saw the 5 giants of the Celestial Extreme Tower, he felt that they were all experts. Tianxing and Jin Yu were both venerables. In addition, he could tell from Lan Yuxuan's residence in mansion number 21 that there were 20 people above her. Excluding the 2 celestial emissaries who might be of lower cultivation, there were at least 18 powerful venerables above them. What kind of strength was this? A sect with venerables in Eastern Xian region could be called a superpower. However, such a superpower could be easily crushed in the eyes of Tianji Tower. The concept of development is different. Tianji Tower's development is based on people, not on fighting for territory. This concept is very good, Yang Lei said. Love Goblittle say W. Chu. Therefore, the forces of the 9 regions royal city can only watch and ignore the development of Tianji Tower. It's not a threat to them. In addition, Tianji Tower doesn't want to have a war, mainly because Tianji Tower's members come from the 9 regions and 18 states. If there is a war, it will also hurt their own members, Sikong Chuyu said. I prefer the philosophy of Tianji Tower. Besides, it's not selfish. It's just like how they are willing to lend a helping hand when our Eastern Xian region is in trouble. This is a kind of comradeship, Night Sorrow said. Yes, and Night Sorrow, your safety is no longer a problem. If you have a conflict with the GU family, they can kill you, but they can only send out 5th grade cultivators. If they send venerables to kill you, they won't be able to bear the consequences unless they are exposed, said Sikong Chiyu. I understand. What if GU's family members also work in the Celestial Terminus Tower? Yishang asked. That's cruel. Values determine everything, Sikong Chiyu said with a smile. Comparing values? If anyone can defeat you, this celestial extremity, I will laugh. Yang Lei put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, Not bad. Night Sorrow nodded with satisfaction. I think so too. Although we can't do whatever we want, GU's family is the same. We're on the same starting line, Sikong Chiyu said. That's enough. We have a way to cultivate the power of the soul. It's only a matter of time before 13 becomes a venerable. GU's family can just wait. Yang Lei was angry when she thought of Father Gu's arm being cut off. She knew that this was also a knot in Night Sorrow's heart. Chiyu, wait for me for a while. Things will be solved, Night Sorrow said. I understand. There's no hurry. It's fine now, Sikong Chiyu said with a smile. It's really good. The people and matters of the Empyrean Terminus Tower are the same as I am. I don't want to bring any trouble to the Empyrean Terminus Tower. It's best to rely on yourself. It's best to grasp things in your hands. Strength. I need strength, Night Sorrow said. Let's go out tomorrow and take a look at Xiantian Tower when it's convenient, Yang Lei said. All right, but we still need to be careful. Most of the power in Qingtian City is controlled by GU's family. City Lord GU Fenglan is a member of GU's family, Sikong Chiyu said. So what? They owe me, Night Sorrow said coldly. 13. GU's family asked the assassination hall to kill you. They already see you as a thorn in their side, so there's nothing wrong with being careful. What you need is time. Yang Lei comforted the angry Night Sorrow. I get angry when they're mentioned, but I'll calm down, Night Sorrow said apologetically to Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu. Then let's take a look at this mansion. Sikong Chiyu changed the topic. She knew that GU's family was a thorn in Night Sorrow's heart. Night Sorrow would easily explode if they were mentioned. Mansion number 9 occupied a large area. It was a courtyard with 2 courtyards. The front was where the gatekeeper and servant girls lived, the back was the main building, and the side was the hall. In the middle of the courtyard was a small garden and a training ground. The design was very reasonable. Not bad, Sikong Chiyu said as he looked around. I've realized that 13, you can get along well wherever you go. After leaving Pill Cauldron Mountain, you got the Dragon Spring Courtyard. You bought the Tranquil Heart Cottage in Dongxian City. And now you have a mansion here, Yang Lei said with a smile. This place is different from the Dragon Spring Courtyard and the Tranquil Heart Cottage. Those are ours, and this is just a place to live. It can't be considered ours, Night Sorrow said. Sir, you're overthinking. As long as you're a member of Tianji Tower, this is your mansion. It's just that you can't sell it, the servant girl who brought tea said. You can't sell it? Night Sorrow looked at the servant girl and asked. No, Tianji Tower doesn't have such a precedent. I know a little about mansions. Mansions are lifelong, just like mansion number 2 and mansion number 3. The owners never live there, but the ownership is still in the hands of their owners. In other words, unless you give it up yourself, or you betray Tianji Tower, this mansion will always belong to you. In addition, you can't receive guests who aren't members of Tianji Tower, the servant girl said with a bow. I see. Then I understand. What's your name? Night Sorrow asked. I'm Kaixiang. I'm currently the manager of this mansion, Kaixiang said with a bow. Then you'll have to worry about the mansion in the future. Here are some mid-grade crystal stones. You can use them to maintain the mansion's expenses. Night Sorrow took out a storage belt and put some mid-grade crystal stones into it. No need. Tianji Tower has already arranged all the expenses for the mansion, Kaixiang said with a shake of her head. Okay. If there's any problem, just let me know, Night Sorrow said as he took back the storage belt. Yes. Sir, I'll leave you to it. Kaixiang bowed and left. The servant girls trained by Tianji Tower are also very good. Although they're humble, they're not overcautious, Sikong Chiyu said as he looked at the direction where Kei Xiang left. That's not important. Let's look at the residence. Let's take a look at the main building first. Knight Sorrow led the two girls into the main building. Knight Sorrow didn't know that after he left the Empyrean Tower, several leaders of Tianji Tower were talking. The core of the conversation was Knight Sorrow. The only genuine J. His DP coup is / stealing S edition EP. Chapter 479. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I don't know. When I probed his spirit sea, I was hit by a strong backlash. It was just a light probe, so the backlash wasn't very strong. Li Changtian said. He didn't have any reaction at that time. In other words, it wasn't his own will. He doesn't have the ability to do so. It's a treasure that automatically protects its owner. It protected his spirit sea. That's incredible. Lin Yuandao said. This little guy almost made me suffer a great loss. Li Zhangtian rubbed his forehead and said. You too. You even probed him deeply. Didn't you suffer a loss? Lu Trinswan said with a smile. I saw that his true qi was condensed and there was no problem with his true qi cultivation. That's why I probed his spirit sea. Who knew that it would turn out like this? Li Changtian said in a slightly depressed tone. The condition of his body is the most peculiar part. His qi and blood are surging and his essence qi is more than 10 zhang * 3. 33 m per zhang. Hi. Think about it. Hua Haining shared his feelings about Night Sorrow. That's right. According to the information confirmed by Lan Yuxuan, Guanyin and Ling Jian, Night Sorrow is less than 20 years old this year. His true qi cultivation is at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. This is already an incredible achievement. Besides, he has also cultivated his body to such a level. This is one of a kind. If there is no flaw in his soul, he will certainly have great achievements in the future. Lin Yuandao said. Our Tianji Tower will have a successor in the future. Lu Trinswan said excitedly. That's right. We have all read his information. From the process of his rise, there is no flaw in his moral character and temperament. He values friendship and righteousness. Moreover, he is not greedy. He has a very strong moral integrity. Lin Yuandao commented on Night Sorrow. But this is also the biggest problem. He has his own principles. There is no desire for power in his heart. Therefore, it is very difficult for him to have a true sense of belonging. Li Changtian said. This is a problem, but it is also a good sign. Once he has a sense of belonging, he won't have to worry about anything anymore. Look at how he stayed in the Medicine Valley. Why are you fighting for the Eastern Xian region? If he approves of Tianji Tower, then what he can do for Medicine Valley and Eastern Xian region, he can also do for Tianjin Tower, Lin Daoyuan said. Let's not take the path of benefits. We need to communicate with him honestly. If this goes on, it's only a matter of time before we feel a sense of belonging. Hua Haining expressed his opinion. Furthermore, with our relationship with Master Wu Kei, none of these problems will be a problem, Lin Yuandao said with a smile. That's right. When I have time, I want to see Master Wu Quebec. We haven't seen each other for many years. Back then, we arrived late. I hope Mistress Wu doesn't have any misunderstandings in her heart. Hua Haining sighed and said. That's my problem, but Mistress Wu Kei shouldn't mind. If she did, Night Sorrow wouldn't have come to the Qingtian region. This time, I need to make this trip. There are some things that need to be said. It can't be left unsaid. Lin Yuandao exhaled and said. It's a bit far. Let's talk about Night Sorrow. He and Mistress Wu Kei are very similar in that they both have things they want to protect. All members of the Eastern Xian region are like this. Just like Lei Hua and Hou Yuan, they both have positions in the Eastern Xian region. Lu Trinswan smiled bitterly. This is also a good thing. The Eastern Xian region is an iron plate. It can become the second base of Tianji Tower. Mistress Wu Kei knows that Tianjin Tower won't harm the interests of the Eastern Xian region, so there's absolutely no problem. I'll talk to Mistress Wu Kei about this matter later, Lin Daoyuan said. Then, can we leave Night Sorrow to the Ministry of Supervision? Guo Xiao said. Look at Chapter B above. Plus XJ no way. Don't even think about it. I'm already old. And you still want me to guide him? Le Trin Swan said. Stop shouting. I also need a successor. Hua Haining also spoke, wanting to get Night Sorrow to his side. Don't argue about this matter. Last time, the Heaven's Fate emissary was taken by the Law Protector Department, so I didn't say anything. This time, none of you have any ideas about Night Sorrow. Can you go and ask Mistress Wu Kei for him? You can't? If you can't, then don't say anything. I'll go and ask for him so he's mine. Lin Daoyuan directly made the decision to get Night Sorrow to his side. Alright. Although I'm a little unwilling, this is indeed suitable. Night Sorrow has a persistent personality, and he's a good foundation to take charge of the general direction, Le Trin Swan said. Then it's settled. You all should pay attention to Night Sorrow's matter. He's a rare seedling, Lin Daoyuan said. Although they were a little unwilling, Le Trin Swan and the others all supported Lin Daoyuan's decision. There's one more thing that we need to make a decision on together. Our Tianji Tower wants to develop a second base. Back then, the establishment of the first base caused quite a stir. I don't want that to happen this time, Lin Yuandao said. If you want to develop a second base in Eastern Xian region, you need to communicate with Mistress Wu Kei. Hua Haining looked at Lin Daoyuan and said, yes, in Mistress Wu Kei's heart, the division of interests between Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region is a problem that she's been tangled in. That's why she hasn't come to see us all these years. If we want to untie the knot in her heart and develop a second base, we need to make a statement on this matter. Lin Yuandao looked at Le Trin Swan and the others and said, there's nothing to discuss. Mistress Wu Kei cares about Eastern Xian region and Tianji Tower, so we'll satisfy her any request she has, Li Changtian said. Then let's do it this way. Our Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region are tied to the same worship. If something happens to Eastern Xian region, Tianji Tower will also take action. In addition, the matters of Eastern Xian region will still be decided by the City Lord's mansion. We're just building a base and cultivating talents, Lin Daoyuan said. I disagree. Eastern Xian region is currently Mistress Wu Kei's world. That's not a problem. But what about the future? If there's a change in power in the future, how will our Tianji Tower deal with it? Guo Xiao voiced his opposition. If I hadn't seen Night Sorrow, I would also have this concern and wouldn't have made this decision. If Mistress Wu Kei's era of ruling Eastern Xian region is over, then what about the next generation? Will Night Sorrow be the next Eastern Xian region chief? Lin Daoyuan made some assumptions. After Lin Daoyuan finished speaking, the other four didn't say anything. They were all thinking. In the future, when Mistress Wu Kei confirms Night Sorrow as the next City Lord of Eastern Xian City, the situation will be as awkward as now. Hua Haining asked. Our Tianji Tower's laws are a little vague on this point, causing the two tower lords to be conflicted. Who said that the royal city's city lord can't be Tianji Tower's tower lord? It's because of this concern that our Tianji Tower can't reach its peak state. Now I'm going to change this law. Lin Yuandao looked at them and announced his decision to change the law. It really needs to be clarified. Our Tianji Tower's members come from all over the place. Who doesn't have a hometown complex? Lu Trin Swan said with a sigh. Chapter 480. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? Shuavenet provides you with wonderful novels to read. Yes, so this time we need to talk about some things on the table. Don't be secretive. Fei Chen Lisan is necessary, so that our Tianjin Tower can develop quickly, Lin Yuandao said. This is necessary. When Tianjin Tower recruited members, we said that Tianjin Tower's interests are paramount. Everyone knows this. But Tianjin Tower also has to consider the hearts of its members. Everyone has their own side that they want to protect. In fact, our Tianjin Tower's ancestors thought about this, so there is a rule against fighting for territory. We are afraid that it will disappoint our members, Hua Haining said after Lin Daoyuan's words. Yes, so we must respect the hearts of our members. In addition, If the Eastern Xian region can be built smoothly, many problems can be solved. As for whether the royal city's city lord can be Lord K's problem, as long as Tianjin Tower's interests are paramount, there is nothing wrong with it. Besides, the personnel assessment is a test, and the specific situation can be dealt with accordingly. Then the drawbacks can be eliminated, Lin Daoyuan said, making a decision. After Lin Daoyuan finished speaking, Lu Trinswan and the others stood up and directly expressed their agreement. Good, then I will go to the Eastern Xian region tomorrow. Elderly, you are familiar with Lord Wu Kei, so let's go together. Lin Daoyuan said to Li Zhengxian. Let's go, Lin Daoyuan said to Li Zhengxian. In addition, everyone should pay more attention to Night Sorrow's matter. Also, don't pull people to your side. I will deal with the arrangements for Night Sorrow. Lin Daoyuan looked at Hua Haining, Guo Xiao, and Li Changtian, then instructed. At this point, the Tianjin Tower's high-level meeting was over, and several important decisions were made. At this time, in the Eastern Xian region's tranquil Heart Cottage, the wind and clouds above the observation tower changed for a long time before calming down. Then Wu Lingfei walked out of the tower. She waved her hand, and the bamboo in the courtyard immediately changed. It became more lush and green, and its height increased. The evolution of the life attribute is complete. I can proceed to the next step, Wu Lingfei muttered to herself before returning to the observation tower. After Night Sorrow finished eating the food prepared by Kaixiang, he took Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu to the courtyard to drink tea and watch the moonlight. The moon is always the same, but it looks different. Back then, in Bamboo Garden Village, in front of the ancestors' graves, the moon felt very bright and cold. It felt very illusory. Now it doesn't feel as bright as back then, but it feels very real. Night Sorrow said with some emotion. The state of mind. Back then, you were lonely and even a little helpless. After all, things are different now. You have a goal, Yang Lei said. Yes, I was very confused in the past. I wanted to do something, but it felt very distant. Now, I feel that everything is hopeful. As long as I work hard, there will be hope. Night Sorrow exhaled and said, the Night Moon dynasty shouldn't be a problem. A dynasty that has accumulated for countless years won't die so easily. Xikong Chuyu knew what Night Sorrow was thinking. Let's solve our problem first. However, it won't conflict. As long as our cultivation improves, all problems will be solved, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow wanted to do a lot of things, but he felt that he had to deal with the matter between himself and Xikong Chuyu first. If he wanted to be together with Xikong Chuyu openly, he had to get the approval of the Xikong family. Night Sorrow weighed the matter in his heart. The past, like the revenge of the Night Moon family, and the fact that the Jiyu family owed Old Gu an arm, could not be changed. However, if it didn't happen, he hoped for a happy ending. Yes, so you should calm down. Aren't we together? The truth is the truth. Even if the Xikong family objects, no one can change the truth, Xikong Chuyu said. The future is still very beautiful. Let's rest. Chuyu, do you want to join us? Yang Lei said with a smile. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. No, it's too embarrassing, Xikong Chuyu said with a red face. But it's too tiring to be alone. Just treat it as keeping me company. Yang Lei held Xikong Chuyu's hand and walked towards the main building. Night Sorrow didn't know what to do as he watched Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu leave. If he followed them, he would be embarrassed. If he didn't, he would embarrass Yang Lei and Xikong Chuyu. The woman had already let go. Why wouldn't he go? While Night Sorrow was still hesitating, Yang Lei turned around and said, Why are you still standing there? Let's go. Night Sorrow nodded and followed. Suddenly his state of mind changed. There was no need to be conflicted. He just had to follow his heart. After entering the room, Xikong Chuyu suddenly turned the tables. He pushed Yang Lei onto the bed, and began to take off Yang Lei's skirt. He even pulled Night Sorrow. Yang Lei resisted for a while, but then she admitted defeat. The meaning of resisting was the same. It was just a matter of who did it first. Besides, she felt that she was Night Sorrow and Xikong Chuyu's elder sister. There were some things that she should take on first. Then Xikong Chuyu helped Night Sorrow take off his robe. Then he turned around. Looking at Yang Lei's delicate body, Night Sorrow couldn't care less and pounced on her. Because Yang Lei was already aroused, it wasn't difficult for the two of them to be together. The battle began. Although Night Sorrow and Yang Lei restrained themselves, they were still very loud. This made Sikong Chiyu feel embarrassed. Even his neck was red and his legs were crossed. Yang Lei made Night Sorrow stop. She hugged Night Sorrow's neck and said something. Then, she sat up and pulled Sikong Chiyu onto the bed. They lingered for a long time. Yang Lei, who was lying side by side with Sikong Chiyu and covered with a blanket, asked in confusion. 13, this isn't right. You weren't this strong before. Why can't the two of us do it? I know. He felt sorry for us and felt that we were tired, so he stopped, Sikong Chiyu said in a low voice. Yang Lei thought for a while and nodded. She understood the reason. Then the three of them rested together. Night Sorrow hugged the two girls and said gratefully, "Thank you. We are a family. Chuyu is the younger sister. So senior sister doesn't need to be embarrassed. Anyway, we didn't embarrass ourselves outside, right?" Yang Lei said in a low voice. "Yes, I don't mind either." Sikong Chiyu nodded. After hearing the two girls' words, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that he had nothing to say. He could feel the love from the two girls. Looking at the silent Night Sorrow, Sikong Chiyu said, "Night Sorrow, didn't you treat us with sincerity? That's why we love you so much." "I understand." Night Sorrow nodded. Yang Lei said, "Love is mutual. If you can do anything for us, we can do the same. Let's rest. Tomorrow we will go to the Xiantian Tower to take a look." Night Sorrow nodded. "Chuyu, didn't you say that the Xiantian Tower can improve the power of the soul? We should go through a few more levels and earn more." Sikong Chiyu said, "But the price of the Xiantian Tower is quite high." Chapter 481. Genius 1 Second. Remember love go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Ninth Senior Sister. You really dare to dream. That's the #1 spirit treasure in the Qingtian region. Who doesn't want to move home? But who can do it? If they could, they would have moved home long ago. Why would they wait for me? Night Sorrow said with a smile. He knew that this was Yang Lei. She had a straightforward personality and said what she thought. She never hid anything. Baidu search AI Go female sign shall say www.aichuxis.com. Ninth Senior Sister understands this, but there are some things that you can't think of. For example, there are many people who like Chuyu. They all want to hug the beauty. If you don't want to do it, why would Chuyu lie beside you? Isn't Ninth Senior Sister the same? Who can say for sure about fate? Perhaps the Xiantian Tower is fated to be with you, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow, Ninth Senior Sister's words are a bit extreme, but they still make sense. If you don't dare to think about it, there is no possibility of success. Think about it and then do it. As for the result, don't think about it first. Sikong Chiyu said with a smile. Although she felt that there was no hope, she felt that Yang Lei's words were reasonable. Okay, then let's rest first. Night Sorrow nodded. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu believed in something. Even if it was wrong, he wouldn't refute it. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow and the others were eating breakfast when Guoxiao came with Lan Yuxuan behind him. "Greetings, Lord Chief Supervisor." Night Sorrow got up and bowed. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu also bowed slightly. Guoxiao looked at Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu, and then said to Night Sorrow, "You're welcome. Although I know them, it's only on paper. You have to introduce them to me." Night Sorrow introduced Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu to Guoxiao and introduced Guoxiao's identity. Sikong Chiyu, the only daughter of the Sikong clan's third young master, Sikong Tianding. I know of her extraordinary talent. Yang Lei, Medicine Valley's earth-shaking hand, Yu Yangyu's ninth disciple. This is also our Tianji Tower's misjudgment, but fortunately, the results are good. I'm in charge of both the inspection department and the supervision department. A Tier 4 expert can serve as an inspector, while a Tier 5 expert can serve as an inspector. However, an inspector is very busy, and I don't think you have much time. Why don't you join the supervision department? Baidu search AI Go female sign shall say www.aichuxs.com. Come, we'll follow the chief supervisor's decision. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu both bowed. A Tier 5 supervisor's cultivation is a bit low, and there aren't any missions at the moment. You just have to cultivate diligently. Supervisor Lan, bring them to exchange their tokens later. Guo said to Lan Yuxuan. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan nodded. Night Sorrow. Tianji Tower's development objective is to put people first, and it's also a place that values relationships and morals. You don't have to feel any pressure or burden. In your heart, the interests of Eastern Xian region are very important. We understand this, so we'll make the appropriate arrangements. Guo Xiao looked at Night Sorrow and said, Many thanks for Lord Chief Supervisor's understanding. Night Sorrow is really grateful. After listening to Guo Xiao's words, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease in his heart. When you feel at ease, your heart will be at peace. In addition, if there's a problem between you and her that needs to be resolved, then let this lord know. This lord is still very willing to make a decision for the young people of Tianji Tower and contribute to your future. Guo Xiao looked at Sikong Chiyu and said, Night Sorrow and the other two bowed again to express their gratitude. What Guo Xiao said was exactly what Night Sorrow was worried about. After that, Guo Xiao left Lan Yuxuan behind and left. Chief Supervisor rarely comes out. It can be seen that you value Lord very much. Lan Yuxuan said, Supervisor Lan, you don't have to be so polite. I already said yesterday that you can just call me by my name. Night Sorrow said. Lan Yuxuan nodded with a smile. She also hoped to get along with Night Sorrow more harmoniously. If she called him Lord, their relationship would indeed become more distant. After that, Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu followed Lan Yuxuan to deal with the issue of their identities. Night Sorrow did not follow them. Instead, he stayed in the mansion to cultivate. The two women only returned at noon. Did it go smoothly? Night Sorrow, who kept his reincarnation spear, asked. It went very smoothly. We treated Sister Lan, who is also Supervisor Lan, to a meal. We will be under her command in the future. However, she asked us to call her Sister Lan. Sikong Chiyu said. It will be more convenient for us to be under her command. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, Actually, it's just a title. The lowest cultivation base of a supervisor is the late void inquiry stage. We are not qualified yet. Yang Lei said, That's not bad. With a position, we will be more free. Night Sorrow nodded with a smile. Yang Lei shook her head. The two of us are just borrowing your glory. It's a little late today. I guess the two of you are tired. We won't go to the Xiantian Tower. Let's go tomorrow. Night Sorrow changed the topic of Yang Lei. Chiyu, did you see that? 13 is changing the topic. He is afraid that we will be embarrassed. However, it's not embarrassing to borrow the glory of our man. We are also willing to do so. Yang Lei said with a smile. Yes. Night Sorrow is also much more tactful now. Sikong Chiyu nodded. After that, the two women practiced their combat techniques. Night Sorrow began to concoct pills. He had obtained a lot of materials in the Death Space, and also exchanged for some materials in the East Garden City. He planned to concoct all of them into pills. He concocted pills until the sky turned dark. Only then did Night Sorrow stop to have supper with the two women. KV Most. New C Chapter Top. Chuyu. How far is this place from the Grand Clarity Domain? Night Sorrow asked. It's not far. The Grand Clarity Domain is connected to the Qingtian Domain to the north, the Nanli Domain to the south, the Taiwa Domain to the east, and the Three Origin Domain to the west. Sikong Chiyu was very familiar with the geography of the 9 domains. Then Sikong Chiyu explained the geography of the 9 domains to Night Sorrow. The Qingtian Domain was in the middle. The Taiwa Domain and the Eastern Profound Domain were in the east. The Grand Clarity Domain and the Nanli Domain were in the south. The Three Origin Domain and the Western Nether Domain were in the west. The Unbounded Desolation and the Northern Sea region were in the north. Night Sorrow pondered for a moment. That means the northeast corner of the Grand Clarity Domain and the southwest corner of the Eastern Profound Domain are very close? Yes. This is certain. What do you mean? I understand. Sikong Chuyu understood why Night Sorrow asked this question. If you have time, make a detailed map. Otherwise, I'll be an idiot, Night Sorrow said. When we go to the Xiantian Tower, let's take a look at the trade street. There's nothing you can't buy on the trade street. Of course, you have to have hard currency, Sikong Chuyu said. That's not a problem. Does our 13 lack spirit stones? Yang Lei said with a smile. Night Sorrow took out the spirit item catalog that Fengchen had left behind and looked at it with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. I'm more interested in the trade street. We had good luck in East Park City, so I hope we can keep it in Qingtian City. Come, let's look at the spirit item catalog. This way, we can recognize the good stuff and don't be blind. Chapter 482. Genius 1 Second. Remember Love Go Xiao? It provides you with interesting novels to read. The things recorded in this handbook are very complete. Many of them are rare. After memorizing them, you won't miss anything in the future. Sikong Chuyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chuyu said. So let's take a look. We can't do things like being blind. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Picking up scraps is also an opportunity. For example, we met that guy who had the Void Dao Stone. He got the opportunity but couldn't grasp it and it slipped away. If he didn't have enough luck, he wouldn't be able to enjoy some rare natural treasures. Sikong Chuyu said. After the three of them were almost done studying the handbook, they made tea and went back to their rooms to cultivate. During this period of time, they had been rushing on their journey. However, Night Sorrow did not neglect his cultivation. Currently, his true qi cultivation had already reached the late void inquiry stage. After working hard for a while, he would be able to reach the peak of the void inquiry stage. His cultivation of the myriad Dao text had also improved very quickly. He was also very close to the peak of the first level Dao seeking realm. After sensing his own cultivation base, Night Sorrow felt that his innate talent in cultivation might indeed be quite good because Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were still at the mid-void inquiry stage. Everyone's cultivation time and resources were about the same. Such a gap could only be explained by innate talent. Moreover, Night Sorrow cultivated the myriad Dao text, the power of his bloodline and the power of his soul at the same time. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow washed up and woke up early to practice his spear techniques. After the two ladies came out and had breakfast, the three of them went out to the streets. After leaving the residential area of the Tianji Tower, the three of them took off their masks in a corner where there was no one around. Sikong Chuyu put on her veil. The three of them sat on Night Sorrow's Tianyu and flew towards the Xiantian Tower. The core area of Sky-bearing City was near the Xiantian Tower. The City Lord's mansion was there. The Tianji Tower's branch in Sky-bearing region was also in that area. That area was also the place with the most shops, as well as a trading street. Sky-bearing City is the royal city of the Sky-bearing region. All the sects with some strength have strongholds and shops here. The Jiyu family has a large sphere of influence in Sky-bearing City, and so does the Sikong family. So be careful. If there are any problems, block them for me, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei nodded. If Sikong Chuyu met someone he knew, he would need someone to stop him. When they arrived near the Xiantian Tower, the three got off their mounts. Night Sorrow put away the Tianyu, and then under the guidance of the two women, they began to go shopping. Shopping was a woman's nature. She was interested in everything she saw, and Night Sorrow was her companion. Night Sorrow was not interested in the shops on the street. The shops were all very formatted, and the items were almost the same. They were all goods that everyone needed. Night Sorrow was not interested in the things that everyone needed. He liked the way street stalls traded. It felt casual, and he could bargain as much as he wanted. There were also all kinds of goods. After walking through a long trading street, the three entered a plaza. This was the trading area, a more casual one. Night Sorrow did not call out Sikong Chuyu's name. He only said one word. Feather, why don't you enter some of the shops? Sikong Chuyu smiled and said, there are signs on the signs. Those are the businesses of the two I mentioned. I don't want to cause trouble, so I won't go in. There are so many shops on the trading street anyway. After entering the trading area, the three began to stare at the stalls. First, Night Sorrow bought a huge map of the 9-domain world. Because it was very detailed, Night Sorrow spent 3 high-grade spirit stones. However, Night Sorrow felt that the spirit stones were worth it. The map was very detailed. The ancient sect ruins, the current sect location, and the Medicine Valley were all carved on it. Night Sorrow felt that this map could be used for a long time. 3 high-grade spirit stones were nothing. Then the three continued to stroll. As long as there were rare herbs and ores, Night Sorrow would use elixirs to barter or spirit stones to buy them. Night Sorrow wanted to study alchemy techniques, and alchemy materials were indispensable. Yang Lei and Xikongqiu followed behind him. Night Sorrow also saw Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan was wearing a mask and was quite a distance away from the two of them. Night Sorrow and the others didn't greet Lan Yuxuan because she was wearing a mask. They also knew that Lan Yuxuan's purpose was to protect the three of them. Then, Night Sorrow stopped. A vendor's shouting attracted Night Sorrow's attention. This was a rather sloppy old peddler. Looking at his lethargic appearance, Yishang knew that he didn't have much lifespan left. However, what made Yishang feel strange was that everyone else ignored this peddler. The old man was peddling a piece of crystal. Brother, don't mind him. He's just an old swindler. His lifespan is nearing its end, causing his heart to collapse. He said that the crystal is a water attribute crystal king. It's just a big crystal. Is there a need to act like that? A man walked past Night Sorrow and reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded to the man to express his gratitude. However, he didn't leave. He had just used his soul force to scan the so-called water attribute crystal king. In addition to the water attribute, he also found an energy that could resist the probing of soul force. Night Sorrow once again probed with his soul force and found the power of law. This meant that it wasn't a crystal stone. No matter what it was, as long as it contained the power of law, it was a good thing. Update T new our fastest up X. How much are you selling it? Night Sorrow asked. Spirit liquid. I only want spirit liquid. Spirit spring spirit liquid. The old man said excitedly. He didn't have much lifespan left, so if he wanted to prolong his life, spirit spring spirit liquid was the best thing. Of course, spirit spring spirit liquid was of a higher grade than spirit spring spirit liquid, but it wasn't known by others. How many drops? Night Sorrow asked. Night Sorrow was the first to go to the void domain. Tianji Tower had given him a bottle of spirit spring spirit liquid, but he had already used it up. Some time ago, when he was fighting against the dark creatures in Broken Cloud Mountain, Lei Hua had given him another bottle. 30 drops, no 40 drops. The old man looked at Night Sorrow with excitement. Then keep it for yourself. Night Sorrow coldly snorted. First of all, not to mention the value of this crystal stone. When the old man heard that Night Sorrow had spirit spring spirit liquid, he directly raised the price. This made Night Sorrow very disgusted. Not to mention that he was a cultivator. Even if he was a businessman, he couldn't be so shameless. Then 30 drops. The old man quickly changed his words. 15 drops. One more drop, you can keep it company with you. Night Sorrow glanced at the old man and fiercely raised the price. His words were also somewhat sharp. In the past, Night Sorrow's character wasn't like this, but the old man's treacherous style had aroused his disgust. All right. I'll sell it. The old man's facial muscles twitched as he made a decision. No matter how valuable this crystal stone was, it wasn't as important as his life. The spirit spring spirit liquid was something he could use to prolong his life. Night Sorrow took out the spirit spring spirit liquid and poured 15 drops into an empty bottle under the old man's nervous eyes. He then handed it to the old man and kept the crystal stone that didn't look very valuable. Holding it in his hand, Night Sorrow knew that he had made a profit again. This was an incomplete water-attributed Saint Crystal. Of course, Saint Crystals didn't contain much energy. Most of it was rule force, so ordinary people wouldn't be able to discover it. Chapter 483. Genius remembers love in 1 second / small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Sorry. I'm not selling it. Night Sorrow put the broken Saint Crystal into his storage ring. What a joke. It was fine if he didn't recognize it, but how could Night Sorrow sell it when he recognized it as a Saint Crystal? Even if it was broken? The Sikong Chuyu was of the water attribute, so the more the better. The source stone contained the law of the water attribute, but it wasn't comprehensive. If he supplemented it with a Saint Crystal, the possibility of the Sikong Chuyu entering the Saint realm in the future would be greater. I'll pay double, the old man in a green robe said. I won't sell it even if it's several times the price. Sorry. Night Sorrow refused again, and got up to leave. He knew that the old man was very strong. He couldn't see his cultivation, so he might be a venerable. If one's soul power wasn't strong enough, or if one didn't have enough knowledge, they wouldn't be able to recognize the Saint Crystal. I'll take it. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't give him any face, the old man blocked Night Sorrow's way. At the same time, he was a little angry. How can you buy it by force? What's the difference between this and robbery? Can you rob everyone here just because you want it? Night Sorrow looked at the old man in green robe and said, So what? I'm asking you to take out the crystal now, or you'll have to bear the consequences. The old man narrowed his eyes and looked at Night Sorrow. There are robberies every year, but I've never seen one on the street. Lan Yuxuan walked over. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, Sir from Tianji Tower, you don't have to get involved in this mess, do you? I have a reward for you. The old man in green robe looked at Lan Yuxuan and said, I don't need your reward. I can't stand this. You'd better leave before something bad happens. Lan Yuxuan's eyes flashed under the mask. If the man in green robe still didn't know when to stop, she would make a move. Leave your name. The green-robed elder looked at Lan Yuxuan, and then turned to look at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who are you? Night Sorrow didn't have the habit of hiding his identity. Jiyu Yuandang, you better remember this. Jiyu and Yuandang glanced at Night Sorrow, then stood up and left. He was very angry, but Lan Yuxuan's existence made him helpless. Night Sorrow glanced at Yuandang's back, then nodded to Lan Yuxuan, and prepared to leave with the two girls. I won't sell the crystal stones. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to leave, the old man who had bought the spring water was a bit reluctant. He knew that he might have made a loss, otherwise, Jiyu and Yuandang wouldn't have paid so much. I'm not selling. Do you think I'll stop selling just because you say so? I don't want to stir up trouble. If you want to act shamelessly, I don't mind sending you away before your lifespan ends. Night Sorrow looked at the old man with killing intent in his eyes. This old man had no principles and no bottom line. You still want to kill? Guards, this is a robbery. The old man jumped and said, Can we fight and kill here? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. Yes. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Then why am I still talking nonsense with him? Night Sorrow raised his right hand and pulled out the reincarnation spear from his shoulder. He directly threw out the 7-star glorious moon spear. The spear body carried a strong vibration force. Buzz. The vibration force on the reincarnation spear shook violently, shaking away the long sword that the old man hurriedly pulled out. Then the spear directly penetrated the old man's forehead. When he withdrew the spear, Night Sorrow shook his wrist and took back the bottle of spirit stone water in the old man's hand. Night Sorrow put the reincarnation spear on his back, and threw 2 mid-grade spirit stones at the old man's corpse. Who has the time to collect the corpse? Love go little say W Chu. However, Yang Lei was very greedy and took off the old man's storage ring. Night Sorrow and the others continued forward. As for the corpse, someone would take care of it. It wouldn't lie there forever. Spirit stones were still very powerful. Then, Night Sorrow continued his treasure hunt. If there were pills and materials, he would exchange them. In any case, he didn't lack pills. Night Sorrow could still make a profit by exchanging pills for materials. That guy has always been there. He hasn't given up and has been following us. Yang Lei said. I know that thing is very precious. He also discovered the secret. Qingtian City isn't easy to survive in. That guy might be a venerable one. Night Sorrow said. Supervisor Lan has always been behind us. He shouldn't dare to do anything. Yanglei said. Night Sorrow nodded, but he didn't like this feeling because he couldn't control it. His fate was in the hands of others. The feeling of powerlessness was too strong. They didn't continue shopping. Night Sorrow and the others went directly to the Xiantian Tower. When I have time, I'll set up a stall in exchange for good things. Night Sorrow said as he walked. Indeed, the demand for elixirs is the greatest. The things we exchange for our elixirs first and spirit stones later. In addition, there aren't many stalls that sell elixirs. The ones that do sell elixirs have very high prices. Yanglei nodded. She felt that Yi Shang's method was feasible. If you have a skill, you won't starve to death. This old saying is true. Sikong Chiyu nodded. Then the three of them arrived in front of the Xiantian Tower. There was a clean circle around the Xiantian Tower. No one set up a stall here. The outer circle was the trading area. It was a prosperous area. However, the Xiantian Tower was a holy land. No one was allowed to casually approach or profane it. There were city guards of Qingtian City guarding it. If anyone dared to mess around, they would be killed. Night Sorrow brought the two girls to the front gate of the Xiantian Tower. There were people guarding it. Night Sorrow told the old guard why they had come, which was to challenge the tower. The old guard looked at Night Sorrow's group and said, "First hand over your spirit stones. Below the 40th floor, 1 mid-grade spirit stone per floor. From the 40th to the 50th floor, 1 high-grade spirit stone per floor. From the 50th floor to the 60th floor, 10 high-grade spirit stones per floor. Above the 60th floor, 1 extreme-grade spirit stone per floor. Every floor will double the price." After Night Sorrow paid the price for the 50th floor and below, he asked, "For the three of us, here are 120 mid-grade spirit stones for the 40th floor and below. These are 30 high-grade spirit stones for the 50th floor. As for after the 50th floor, we don't know how many floors we can reach. What do you say?" In order to avoid unnecessary trouble and embarrassment, you have to pay in advance. Remember not to exceed the floor you paid in advance. Otherwise, it will be very unpleasant if you can't make up for it when you come out. Also, after you enter, you will be automatically teleported out in 3 days, the old man said. All right. If I don't use it, can I return the money I paid in advance? Night Sorrow asked. He didn't want to be swindled by others. From the actions of Ji Yu's family members and that peddler, he knew that the Qingtian city was very chaotic. Yes, there is no problem. No one dares to look down on the city lord Manor's reputation, the old man said. Night Sorrow directly took out 150 high-grade spirit stones. Pay in advance first. I'll calculate the amount when I come out. The old man nodded at Night Sorrow and took out 3 jade tablets. He handed them to Night Sorrow's group. The Xiantian Tower's monitoring system was similar to the Thunder Tower. Chapter 484. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Lan Yuxuan had a comprehensive understanding of Night Sorrow's situation. She knew that Night Sorrow and Ji Yu's family had a grudge against each other. In addition, she also knew that some members of Ji Yu's family wanted to kill Night Sorrow. Coupled with Ji Yu's family's overbearing style, Lan Yuxuan didn't dare to let down her guard. In Tianji Tower, the treatment of members and the rules they had to abide by were different. For those who were recruited from the periphery, if they were trained beyond their limits, the requirements would be stricter. Of course, if they got something, they would have to pay a price. The reason was very simple. If they didn't create corresponding value and wanted to be trained further, they had to work harder. Many supervisors and guardians were like this. In order to get resources that they weren't qualified to use, they had to give up some freedom. Lan Yuxuan was the same. As a venerable, she needed a lot of cultivation resources. In order to get resources, she had to work hard. At present, the task that Tianji Tower had arranged for Lan Yuxuan was to be Night Sorrow's personal subordinate. She had to protect Night Sorrow and communicate with him. Night Sorrow and the other two took the jade tokens and started to challenge the tower. After Night Sorrow and the other two entered the tower, Ji Yu came to the old man in the cyan robe. Cousin, These three people have started to challenge the tower? Yes, Yuandang is here. Why do you look so pale? The old man in the cyan robe asked. His name was Jiyu Yuanhang, and he was a member of Jiyu's family. I missed a big opportunity. It was ruined by Tianji Tower's people. The thing is in that boy's hands. Jiyu Yuandang snorted coldly. These three young people are not simple. They are rich and took out a lot of spirit stones. They paid 150 high-grade spirit stones in advance. They should be from a big family, Jiyu Yuanhang said. 150 high-grade spirit stones in advance? What kind of method is this? Jiyu Yuandang was a little confused. 150 high-grade spirit stones was not a small number. He only had this much wealth, and he had accumulated it for countless years. What kind of opportunity is it? Why do you value it so much? Asked Jiyu Yuanhang. If cousin is not mistaken, it should be St. Crystals. I offered him 3 times the price but he refused to sell, so I should be right. Jiyu and Yuandang hesitated for a moment before saying, Don't do anything for now. There are powerful warriors from Tianji Tower over there, which means these 3 people are not simple. Let's investigate them first. Jiyu Yuanhang glanced at Lan Yuxuan and said, It's as disgusting as eating flies. Love go little say Jiyu and Yuandang were very angry. Don't be rash. Being followed by a venerable cultivator is definitely not an ordinary cultivator. If things get out of hand, it won't end well. Jiyu Yuanhang reminded Jiyu. After Night Sorrow entered the Xiantian Tower, he was on guard, but no attack appeared. In front of him was a staircase that extended diagonally. Could it be the same as Danding Cliff? Pressure assessment? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and made a judgment. Holding the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow stepped on the staircase and walked up. There was pressure, but this pressure was negligible to Night Sorrow. There were about 50 steps on the staircase, and at the end of the staircase was an oval-shaped energy door. After walking to the end, Night Sorrow directly stepped into it. Night Sorrow walked up step by step. This place might be pressuring for cultivators in the Qi refinement realm, but for Night Sorrow, it was no different from an ordinary environment. The 10th floor was more comfortable, and it was a small space with richer energy. Night Sorrow did not stop, because it was meaningless. If he cultivated here, and relied on this level of spiritual energy to advance, he would have to cultivate for dozens of years. Standing on the stairs of the 11th floor, Night Sorrow felt for a moment, and found that the pressure was indeed targeted at cultivators in the Qi-gathering realm. The pressure only existed on the stairs. If one did not go up the stairs, they would not feel the pressure. Putting away the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. The low-level assessment was meaningless to Night Sorrow, and the rewards were meaningless as well. The spiritual stones that he handed over were actually the toll. As he continued to move forward, Night Sorrow reached the 40th floor. The energy on the 40th floor was already relatively rich, but Night Sorrow did not stop. The levels below the 50th floor were meaningless to him. He was aiming to improve his soul, and he would only have the opportunity to improve his soul after reaching the 50th floor. Night Sorrow continued to move forward. He did not know about Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu's situation. In this kind of assessment of perseverance, true qi, and physical strength, the 2 girls were definitely not as good as him. However, he felt that they were still stronger than the others. Since Yang Lei could cultivate the heaven-covering hand, her physical strength was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. In the Medicine Valley, other than Night Sorrow, she was the second person who cultivated the heaven-covering hand. As for Sikong Chiyu, she used to be delicate. Now she also looked slim and weak. However, her body had been transformed by the sky blue water attribute. Her physical quality was also incomparable to other cultivators. Resisting the pressure, Night Sorrow's myriad Dao Tome had a great advantage. Very soon he rushed to the 50th floor. Without any hesitation, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. Every floor corresponded to a corresponding level. The 50th floor corresponded to the early void inquiry stage. However, Night Sorrow felt that the corresponding level was not accurate. There was at least a suppression of 2 levels. In other words, One would need to be at least second void inquiry stage to reach the 50th floor. After taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow went up the stairs and walked towards the oval-shaped energy on the 51st floor. When Night Sorrow went up the stairs, the pressure hit him in the face. The pressure was already very strong, but he still did not care. He protected his body with true chi and walked up. After entering the 52nd floor, Night Sorrow pondered for a while. Without resting, he continued to move forward. The Xiantian Tower still gave the challengers a chance to take a breather. When they just entered the next floor, they could meditate to recover. As long as they did not go up the stairs, there would be no pressure. Feeling that he did not consume much of his energy, Night Sorrow got up and continued to move forward. When he reached the 53rd floor, Night Sorrow meditated beside the stairs to recover. He had not stopped moving forward. Night Sorrow's energy consumption was quite large. Other than that, he did feel that his soul power had been improved. It started from the 51st floor. Among the energy rushing forward, there was a milky white silk-like energy rushing towards his spirit sea. After the milky white energy entered his spirit sea, it began to strengthen Night Sorrow's soul power. This kind of milky white silk-like energy was different from the energy extracted from the soul crystals. Night Sorrow felt that his soul power did not improve. It was just the quality of his soul that had changed. Look at section JK_1 of chapter D+ of the original version. For this made Night Sorrow realize that the rumored energy that could change one's soul power was still very powerful. As he continued forward, Night Sorrow slowly sensed the deity sees situation and adjusted his speed. Night Sorrow wasn't worried that he would miss out on anything. If he failed in the Thunder Tower, he would have lost the opportunity to return and continue cultivating. However, this place was different. This was a stair mode. If he couldn't withstand it, he could retreat. Night Sorrow planned to break through to his limit, and then cultivate at his limit. This was something he could control. Although the pressure of moving forward was great, Night Sorrow was able to reach the 56th step by relying on his own strength and the assistance of his primary energy. However, he was unable to hold on any longer. Chapter 485. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go divided by Xiao? We provide you with interesting novels to read. After reaching the 56th floor, Night Sorrow stopped and stood in front of the stairs leading to the 57th floor. Night Sorrow began to ponder. Love Go divided by Xiao www.aichux.com. Currently, Night Sorrow had to endure double pressure, which was the impact of ordinary energy and the impact of soul power. Only when his body and spirit sea could withstand it could he continue moving forward. After sorting out his thoughts, Night Sorrow went up the stairs and continued moving forward. At this moment, not only did he circulate his true chi, the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was also activated. At the same time, the soul power in his spirit sea was also circulating at full speed, refining the energy that entered his spirit sea. He refined as much as he could. The energy in the Xiantian Tower was slowly pressing into his spirit sea. Night Sorrow's incorporeal heavenly fate bead did not block it. When the incorporeal heavenly fate bead protects its owner, the owner would have to face a violent impact, which was a conscious soul power attack. However, the energy here did not have such characteristics. Night Sorrow moved forward step by step. The energy pressed down on him like waves, but it still could not stop him from moving forward. Zhu Forever read novels for free at this moment. Jiyu Yuanhang, who was in charge of guarding the Xiantian Tower, had a solemn expression. Avoid inquiry stage cultivator reaching the 56th floor. Brother Yuandang, this person is definitely not simple. If you know his name, go investigate and report it to the clan. Remember, don't act recklessly. Cousin Yuanhang, if they come out, send someone to follow them. Don't let them escape. That thing is very important to me, Jiyu Yuanhang said. All right, go ahead. Jiyu Yuanhang nodded. He knew that this matter was not simple. It was already very difficult to maintain the same number of floors in the Xiantian Tower. It was almost impossible to skip levels. However, Night Sorrow had already skipped 2 levels and was already on par with the record. He could not ignore it even if he wanted to. Jiyu Yuanhang was a member of the City Lord Mansion. However, he would always report valuable information and benefits to the Jiyu clan first. Baidu search, AI go female sign shall say www.aichoexis.com. The current City Lord of Sky-bearing City was Jiyu Fenglan of the Jiyu family, but Jiyu Fenglan had not shown himself for many years. Jiyu family was indeed powerful in the city leader mansion, but it was not powerful enough to cover the sky with one hand. Therefore, the city leader mansion and Jiyu family were still two different things. Lan Yuxuan was still waiting for Night Sorrow and the other two. She knew that Jiyu family had made some moves, but she wasn't afraid. Lan Yuxuan wasn't afraid of the two Jiyu family members. Tianji Tower wasn't afraid of Jiyu's family. If there was a battle, she could send out a signal, and Tianji Tower's people would arrive. Night Sorrow continued to move forward. Beads of sweat dripped down from his face. When it came to ordinary energy attacks, Night Sorrow had the myriad Tao Tome and Zhenqi to resist them. However, the pressure from soul energy was too great. Night Sorrow had reached the 57th floor, but he had also reached his limit. The Xiantian Tower's soul attack was truly tyrannical, but as long as one could withstand it, their soul power would improve greatly. When he reached the 57th floor, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and began to recover. He didn't need to use any resources to recover here. The energy here was very rich, almost the same as 7,000 meters above Danding Cliff. After meditating for an hour, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak. He sensed his soul power, and found that the quality of his soul power had improved greatly. The milky white soul power emitted a soft and perfect luster. Night Sorrow felt that the spirit stones were well spent. The improvement of the quality of his soul power was priceless. In addition, this place was also a holy land for cultivation. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow stood up. A rich cultivation environment was hard to come by for others, but it was nothing for Night Sorrow. With the help of the spiritual liquid and elixirs, Night Sorrow's cultivation speed had been maintained at a high speed. Therefore, Night Sorrow didn't care about the rich cultivation environment. However, the improvement of the quality of his soul power was important. It was the foundation, so he had to make a breakthrough. Night Sorrow stood up and stepped onto the stairs. He began to endure the energy pouring into his body and cultivate. After taking a few steps, Night Sorrow discovered that his soul power was no longer accepting the changes of the Xiantian Tower's soul energy. In other words, his soul power had reached perfection. Discovering this, Night Sorrow controlled his soul power to quickly revolve and refine the energy entering his divine sea. He began to improve his soul power. The appearance of this situation increased Night Sorrow's ability to resist pressure. After an hour, Night Sorrow reached the 58th floor. However, his body was soaked in sweat, and he had used up all of his energy. Night Sorrow knew that it would be very difficult for him to reach the 59th floor, but he didn't plan on giving up. He would charge as far as he could, and when he reached his limit, he would cultivate. After cultivating for an hour on the 58th floor, and recovering to his peak state, Night Sorrow got up and went up the stairs. He didn't know that at this time, a shadow had appeared in the space and was observing him. Night Sorrow had to bear a lot of pressure with every step he took. However, he could still persevere. He knew that perseverance meant gains. When he was 10 steps away from the 59th floor, the pressure suddenly surged. He had to reach the 59th floor. With a low roar, Night Sorrow used his bloodline talent and used Space Crack. He wanted to cut open the turbulent flow of energy and reduce the impact of the pressure. Following the hissing sound, Yishang's spatial rend tore open a crack in the pressure energy. Then, Yishang used a second spatial rend. After using the spatial rend, he stepped onto the 59th floor. After entering the 59th floor, Night Sorrow directly fell to the ground. His true qi and the myriad Dao Tome's energy were completely exhausted. Even standing was difficult. After gasping for a while, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. At this time, in front of the Xiantian Tower, Jiyu Yuanhang, who was in charge of guarding the tower, had a gloomy look on his face. Night Sorrow had already broken the tower's record. Before, the record was 2 levels higher than himself, But when Night Sorrow entered the 59th floor, Night Sorrow's record was 5 levels higher than himself. This record was destined to shock everyone. Jiyu Yuanhang felt that if he couldn't bring someone like Night Sorrow under his control, he would be a great threat. At this time, Jiyu Yuandang had also returned. Night Sorrow had spent 6 to 8 hours in the tower, and during this time he had already collected all the information. Then he told Jiyu Yuanhang about the situation. In other words, he's a potential enemy of our Jiyu family. We can't let him live. Jiyu Yuanhang's face showed a murderous look. When he comes out, I'll kill him, said Jiyu Yuandang with a vicious look. No, he's so outstanding. He must have a lot to do with Tianji Tower. If you kill him, you'll be in a lot of trouble. Go to the family and summon some men of sacrifice. Kill him at the cost of a few men of sacrifice, Jiyu Yuanhang said. In terms of experience, Jiyu Yuandang was much worse than him, so he had thought it through thoroughly. Jiyu Yuandang nodded and left. However, Lan Yuxuan saw all this. She had seen Jiyu Yuandang show up twice, so she became even more cautious. If she still didn't know that Night Sorrow was in danger, she would be an idiot. She wouldn't have become a supervisor of Tianji Tower. Chapter 486. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow rested for a while, stretched his waist, and looked at the stairs leading to the 60th floor. At this time he was very calm. Being able to reach this level meant that he was at the peak of the 5th rank. This was enough for him. Night Sorrow stepped on the stairs, intending to continue. When he reached his limit, he would begin to meditate. Night Sorrow had just stepped on the stairs when the violent energy bombardment began. He did not move forward, but stood in place and endured, not being rushed down. At this time, Night Sorrow saw an unusual phenomenon. An energy shadow appeared 6 or 7 meters in front of him, waving its arms and controlling the energy to attack Night Sorrow. Energy guard? Although Night Sorrow was surprised, he did not think it was strange. He had seen many energy guards in the Thunder Tower. Unfortunately, he was far away from this energy shadow and could not attack it at close range. He wanted to fight it, but the impact of the energy made it impossible for him to cross the distance of 6 or 7 meters. Controlled by the energy shadow, the energy went berserk, constantly attacking Night Sorrow. At this time, there was an extremely strong soul energy attack. It was automatically blocked by the Void Fate Pearl, which protected its master, outside of Night Sorrow's Spirit Sea. Love Gob Little Say W. Chu. Without the hindrance of his soul being attacked, Night Sorrow's feet landed on the ground as if he had taken root. At the same time, he took out the sky-piercing spear with ice serpent tendons. After infusing it with vibration energy, it flew toward the energy shadow. Vibration energy was the most effective when attacking energy bodies. The strong vibration would make the energy body unstable, and the damage was the highest. Night Sorrow held 4 sky-piercing spears with ice serpent tendons in both hands, and attacked the energy shadow alternately. The energy shadow was hit several times by Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spears, but it was not affected much. The energy shadow retreated 6 meters, out of Night Sorrow's attack range. At this moment, Night Sorrow activated his innate bloodline ability, and unleashed a spatial rend. Night Sorrow's spatial rend was much more powerful now that his soul power had reached perfection. It was as if the spatial rend had pierced through space and struck the energy phantom. Being struck by the energy of the space crack, the energy figure shook. Because the energy figure was affected by the attack, the energy suppressing Night Sorrow was greatly reduced. Stomping his foot, Night Sorrow charged forward. As he did so, Night Sorrow fired another spatial rend. The space rend energy slash, which seemed to have broken through the restraints of space, directly cut the energy figure's body. It made the energy figure's body shake again. K is the only official version. V5. All other Qs are pirated QS at this moment. Night Sorrow had also arrived in front of the energy figure. Night Sorrow, who no longer suppressed his attributes, poured his incorporeal true energy into his reincarnation spear. He executed the 7 stars brilliant moon spear art, and began to attack the energy figure. Void attribute. It's actually the void attribute. I'm not fighting anymore. The energy figure spoke in human language and retreated a few meters. Then it waved its arm and the energy of the entire 59th floor gathered on its body. With all the energy gathered on the energy figure, Night Sorrow no longer felt any pressure. At the same time, the energy figure also became clearer. It was a girl of about 11 or 12 years old. The energy even transformed into a small green skirt that covered her body. It seems like you have intelligence. I'm sorry for hurting you just now. Can I enter the next floor? Night Sorrow asked. He felt that if he defeated the guard, he would be able to enter the next floor. Yes, but there's no hurry. I have something to tell you. If you agree, then everything will be easy. The girl looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Say it." Night Sorrow put away his reincarnation spear and took out a jar of wine to drink. We can be friends, but you can't bully me. The girl said, "That's not a problem. Of course I can promise you." Night Sorrow said with some bewilderment, "Then I can tell you. I'm the artifact spirit here. Because half of my attributes are the same as yours, I'll follow you from now on. Remember what you said, you can't bully me." The girl walked to Night Sorrow's side and said, "You're not an energy guard. You're the artifact spirit of the Xiantian Tower?" Night Sorrow said with some shock, "What energy guard? This spirit isn't. Also, the Xiantian Tower sounds terrible. This spirit is the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda. The Xiantian Tower is a name that you cultivators randomly came up with." The girl in green said, "Space-Time Treasure Pagoda, what kind of concept is that?" Night Sorrow asked. "It's a spirit treasure with the time and space attributes." The girl in green said, "Then what should I call you?" Night Sorrow asked. "Just call me Little Kong. You're not bad. Not only is your soul power perfect, you also have the space attribute, which has reached the standard I set. If you didn't reach this standard, I wouldn't have appeared. In addition, you also have the supreme void attribute, which is very powerful." Little Kong sized up Night Sorrow and said, "In other words, if you follow me in the future, I can use this space-time treasure pagoda?" Night Sorrow asked. This was the question he was most concerned about. "As long as you don't bully me, it's fine. I can listen to you and help you do some things, but you have to take me with you." Little Kong seemed to be closer to Night Sorrow. "But I can't. If I take you with me now, I'll be hunted down. It'll be very miserable." Night Sorrow said while rubbing his forehead. If Night Sorrow took the space-time treasure pagoda, the Qingtian region would be turned upside down. The Qingtian region's city lord mansion would hunt him down in the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. If anyone wants to kill you, you can use me to kill them. But that won't do. Your strength is too low. Little Kong looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow blushed. He was actually looked down upon by the Xiantian Pagoda. Or rather, the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda's artifact spirit. He was probably the first in the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that if he wanted to take away the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda, he could only steal it. If he stole the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda without anyone noticing, it would be impossible to swagger away. How about this? You stay here and don't worry. I'll take you away later. But if I don't enter the pagoda, how can I communicate with you? Night Sorrow asked. That's not a problem. Send a strand of your soul power to me, and then I'll give you a strand of origin energy. This way, we can communicate at any time. However, we can't communicate too far away. Otherwise it won't work. Little Kong said. Then Night Sorrow sent a strand of his soul power into Little Kong's energy body. Following that, Little Kong sent a strand of origin energy into Night Sorrow's divine sea. After Little Kong's origin energy entered Night Sorrow's divine sea, Night Sorrow found that Little Kong's thoughts appeared in his mind. Don't let anyone find out about this. Otherwise it'll be troublesome. Night Sorrow reminded Little Kong. I'm not afraid. Even if I'm found out, others will find trouble with you. Once I seal the pagoda, who can do anything to me? Little Kong looked at Night Sorrow with a strange gaze. If he used Night Sorrow's feelings, it would be disdain or even a joke. Chapter 487. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Original C initial R sent C you're strong. Oh right, I have 2 other companions who are also challenging the tower. They are 2 women. Night Sorrow asked about Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu. They're all cultivating on the 54th floor. The 2 of them are not bad, Xiao Kong answered directly. That's good. I'll discuss the plan to sneak you away, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. The biggest problem lies in the fact that there is an expert at the top of the space-time treasure pagoda. Otherwise, I could have easily defeated the guards around it, Xiao Kong said as he raised his head. What's going on? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. It's an old man. He has a spiritual treasure. Using that spiritual treasure, he's currently hovering above my true body. He's using my true body to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to cultivate there. He's taking advantage of me. I've been tolerating him because of the spiritual stones, Xiao Kong said. I don't know much about spirit stones. Night Sorrow shook his head. It's like this. If I open the tower to the outside world, they have to feed me spirit stones. In fact, the energy consumed by the people who challenge the tower is 1/3 of the energy they feed me. I still have some profit. So looking at their spirit stones, I didn't move. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to bear the bastards above. Xiao Kong said. Then what should we do? Night Sorrow was at a loss. That's right. I can't harm you. That guy is at the peak of the Paragon realm. If we don't get rid of him, it'll be troublesome. Xiao Kong said. Peak Monarch realm, could it be the sky-bearing city lord? Night Sorrow narrowed his eyes in thought. I don't know about that, Xiao Kong said. You have the dual attributes of time and space. Can't you break through space? Or is there any other way? Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. I can. But after entering the spatial crack, if I can't fix the location with you, we'll be pulled away by the spatial turbulence. If we fly directly, we won't be able to escape the seal of the old man above. Xiao Kong said after thinking for a while. That's a problem. Night Sorrow was helpless. If he couldn't solve the problem, he wouldn't be able to take the space-time treasure pagoda away. Not really. If you can tear space, I can fix the location through the spatial crack. For example, if you tear space twice, I can fix the location the first time. The second time, I can come out of the spatial crack. Xiao Kong explained his idea. But I can't right now. Yishan rubbed his head and said. Try using your spatial technique again, Xiao Kong said to Yishan. Although Night Sorrow the spatial crack, the spatial crack, the crack, the spatial crack, the crack, the spatial crack, the crack, the crack, the crack, crack, very quickly closed. I can enter and exit this space crack, but the speed at which it's closing is way too fast. If only I could stabilize it. Lil Kong said with a pout. Steady? Then can I find a venerable to seal the space and slow down the closing of the spatial crack? Night Sorrow asked. Of course. My origin energy is on you. As long as there's a spatial crack, I can feel it. Even if it's small, I'm not afraid. I just need to maintain it for a while. Love Gob Little say W. Chu Xiao Kong nodded at Night Sorrow. That's good. I'll find a reliable venerable to help me do this. Night Sorrow said. You have to hurry. I'm worried that the guy above will break through. Many years ago he was a peak venerable. Who knows when he will enter the Saint Realm? If that's the case, we won't have any chance. Although I can prevent him from recognizing me as his master, it's impossible for me to escape. Xiao Kong said. I'll take care of this soon. Don't worry. Night Sorrow patted Xiao Kong's shoulder and said. If you help me, I'll help you. I have a lot of abilities. You'll know them slowly. Xiao Kong raised her head and looked at Night Sorrow. All right. Let's not expose ourselves. I'll continue to cultivate. You can just teleport us out 3 days later. Night Sorrow said. Let's go to the 60th floor. The energy there is abundant. It's more suitable for cultivation. Xiao Kong said to Night Sorrow. It's not suitable. If the people outside know that I've reached the 60th floor with a cultivation base of the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage, it will be a big joke. It will also attract attention. If I bring you away, It will be easy for me to expose myself. Night Sorrow said. If it wasn't for Shao Kong, Night Sorrow would certainly want to go higher. Now he had some scruples. If you want them to know, they will know. If you don't want them to know, they won't know. Give me the jade token. Let's go up. Shao Kong waved her hand at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow gave the jade token to Shao Kong. Then, under her lead, Night Sorrow entered the 60th floor. The 60th floor was an area that only Venerable Realm experts could reach. The density of the energy there had already reached an extreme level. Shao Kong, the energy in this space of yours is very terrifying. Night Sorrow said. Yes. However, if people keep coming and going, a lot of it will be absorbed away. This is harmful to me. Therefore, even if Venerable Realm experts come, I will control them and stop them below the 60th floor. I also want to cultivate, and I don't want others to skin me alive. That's why I want you to bring me away. Shao Kong said. Don't worry. It will definitely work. Night Sorrow comforted Shao Kong and sat down to meditate and begin his cultivation. His cultivation lasted for 2 days. Night Sorrow did not know that the situation outside was already very tense. The death warriors of Jiyu clan were hiding in the area in front of the Xiantian Tower. The patrol captain of the Tianji Tower had also appeared in this area with his men. Lan Yuxuan also showed up directly. This was to deter Jiyu clan because it was better to avoid war if they could. At this moment, on the top floor of the Tianji Tower, which was not far away from the space-time pagoda, Guo stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Beside him was a man wearing a golden mask. Yao Yang, Night Sorrow is very important to our Tianji Tower. During the days when he is in the Qingtian region, you will protect him secretly. As long as a Venerable Realm expert tries to attack him, kill him. Guo said to the man behind him. Yao Yang understands. The man wearing the golden mask nodded. He was the leader of the 3 gold palace guards, Yao Yang. Currently, our Tianji Tower only has 2 heaven pole emissaries. Therefore, as long as they don't do anything wrong, we will fight any forces for them. Guo said. This subordinate understands. Yao Yang nodded. On Night Sorrow's side, after Shao Kong's reminder, he ended his cultivation. Peak 4th grade void inquiry stage. Shao Kong, this place of yours is indeed a sacred place for cultivation. Night Sorrow said after sensing his cultivation base. You are sucking my blood. However, a small portion of it won't harm me. You can leave now. We can communicate within 20 li asterisk, 500 m per li, of this spacetime pagoda. Shao Kong said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll leave first. I will communicate with you later in the surroundings. Also, I will make the best use of my time to bring you away. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Then I'll wait for your news. If you succeed, I won't have to serve this group of bastards anymore. Also, there are many cultivators with killing intent around the pagoda. Be careful. Take the jade token. Shao Kong threw the jade token to Night Sorrow and said. Perhaps they are the city guards. Night Sorrow tidied up his robe and said. Chapter 488. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then Night Sorrow fell into a trance. When he came back to his senses, he was already standing in front of the gate of the space-time pagoda. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu were standing beside him. How are you two? Night Sorrow asked. Very good. It's indeed much more powerful than the Thunder Tower, Yang Lei said. Let's go. Night Sorrow said and walked towards Jiyu Yuanhang. I'll pay the bill, Night Sorrow said when he arrived in front of Jiyu Yuanhang. 2 with the 54th floor, and 1 with the 59th floor. Add 20 top-grade crystal stones, Jiyu Yuanhang said. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He took Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's jade tablets, then took out 20 top-grade spirit stones, and put them on the table in front of Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. After that, he walked out with a surprised look on their faces. Be careful, we're being watched, Night Sorrow said in a low voice. Needless to say, it must be those shameless people from the Jiyu family, Sikong Chuyu said in a low voice. Let's get closer to Supervisor Lan. Night Sorrow said and moved closer to Lan Yuxuan. So far, he had found a few black-clothed people, whose cultivation bases were higher than his, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu. He didn't want to take the risk. If he was alone, Night Sorrow would have killed them. But now he was more concerned about the safety of Sikong Chiyu and Yang Lei. Seeing Night Sorrow and the other two coming over, Lan Yuxuan didn't say anything. She just moved her arms, and some people moved, imperceptibly protecting Night Sorrow, and the other two. On the other side, Ji Yuanhang shook his head at Ji Yuandang, who was about to make a move. Ji Yuanhang knew that if he made a move now, he wouldn't have the chance to do so, and Tianji Tower would surely retaliate. After leaving for a while, Night Sorrow's group of three rode Tianyu and the dark-feathered eagle out of this area. Lan Yuxuan brought some people to bring up the rear, and didn't follow. Did you notice? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, there are at least 20 people with murderous intent lurking in the crowd, Sikong Chiyu said. It's not easy to stay in the Qingtian domain. Let's make some preparations and return to the eastern Xian domain. This Jiyu family is too shameless. We can't defeat them yet, said Yang Lei. I can't leave. I still have some things to do. Let's go back and talk. Piloting Tianyu, Night Sorrow made sure that no one was following them and flew straight to the mansion district. In the air, the three put on their masks and went through the inspection of the Silver Palace guards before returning to the mansion. Night Sorrow, the Jiyu family is too hateful, Yang Lei said somewhat angrily. It's only a matter of time before we deal with them. Night Sorrow took the two girls to the backyard. Why not leave? After entering the backyard, Sikong Chiyu asked while making tea. Because of the Xiantian Tower. It should be called the Space-Time Pagoda, Night Sorrow said. What? Sikong Chiyu's hand trembled and spilled the water. I have to find a way to take the Space-Time Pagoda away, Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei. What do you mean? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Ninth senior sister, didn't you say that you would take the Xiantian Tower away if you had the chance? The real name of the Xiantian Tower is the Space-Time Pagoda. The problem is, how do you move it? There are so many guards. If I take it away, won't they kill me? Night Sorrow said. You mean that you made the Xiantian Tower? Oh no, the Space-Time Pagoda recognize you as its master? Sikong Chiyu asked. You can say that. We are friends. Her origin body has the power of my soul, and my spirit sea has the power of her origin body. We can communicate. The problem now is how to move it away. Night Sorrow took the tea that Sikong Chiyu handed over with trembling hands. You're really ruthless, Yang Lei said excitedly. I can't believe you actually made my ninth senior sister's joke real. Now let's think about how we're going to take away the number one spiritual treasure of the Qingtian realm. There are many problems. We won't be able to move it away by ourselves. If we want to move it away, we will need the help of a top supremacy. Otherwise, we won't be able to avoid the obstruction of that old man above the Space-Time Pagoda. It will cause a lot of trouble. Night Sorrow explained the situation that Little Kong had told him. It's very difficult. We have two choices in front of us. One is to inform Auntie Fei, and we will wait here for news. The other is to report to the Chief Tower Master and ask for his help. The only difference is, Night Sorrow, can you trust the Chief Tower Master? Sikong Chiyu said. This shouldn't be a problem. The upper echelons of Tianji Tower are trustworthy. They are all seniors worthy of respect. How about this? I will go see the Chief Tower Master later and see what he has to say. After all, this is a big matter that might cause a commotion. We have to think about Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow said. Yes, if we don't have a plan, it would be irresponsible of us to cause trouble, Sikong Chiyu said. Alright, you guys wait for me here. I will go to the Sky Pole Dark Palace now, Night Sorrow said as he stood up. Sikong Chiyu and Yang Lei both nodded because this matter was indeed too big. It was so big that it could cause a war. Riding on the Sky Feather, Yishang arrived at the Celestial Peak Pavilion. Holding the token and wearing a mask, Yishang arrived at the underground hall of the Celestial Peak Pavilion without any obstructions. Taking off his mask, Night Sorrow cupped his hands to the Heavenly Star Palace's guard. I want to go to the Dark Palace. Please. Heavenly Star bowed to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow entered the teleportation array and was teleported to the Sky Pole Dark Palace. In the Dark Palace Hall, Night Sorrow didn't see Lin Yuandao and the others, but there was a supervisor. After the supervisor greeted Night Sorrow, he said that the K-Lord was out and not in the Dark Palace. When the K-Lord returns, please inform me. I have something important to discuss with the K-Lord, Night Sorrow said. I will remember Sir's instructions. I will do it well, the supervisor on duty said. All right. Night Sorrow nodded to the supervisor and left the Dark Palace, returning to his mansion. What did he say? Sikong Chiyu asked. Read the original chapter, Ion R. I didn't see anyone. Night Sorrow shook his head and told him about the situation at the Dark Palace. Then let's wait. They will be out for a short time. Let's cultivate and wait, Sikong Chiyu said. Just as they were talking, Lan Yuxuan arrived. Night Sorrow, the situation isn't good. Jiyu's family is targeting you, Lan Yuxuan said. I know, but I can only endure it now because I don't have the strength. Night Sorrow was a little depressed. It's nothing. I came to tell you to be careful. No matter how arrogant Jiyu's family is, they can't be arrogant to the Tianji Tower, Lan Yuxuan said. The three of us plan to cultivate quietly for a few days. Night Sorrow said. He didn't want to tell Lan Yuxuan about the space-time pagoda. It wouldn't solve the problem and could easily change. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.